Anybody's got a father. Anybody's got a son. Do it for them.
Anybody got a sister? Anybody got a mother? Anybody got a daughter? Do it for her.
Anybody's got a brother. Anybody's got a father. Anybody's got a son. Do it for them.
Anybody got a sister? Anybody got a mother? Anybody got a daughter?
Say something. Give something. Do something. Save us all. Say something. Do something. Give something. Save our people. Save our children. Save our future.
Nkuko bisanzwe mu muco wacu kandi n'abantu batojwe nk'abakristo.
As you know, in our culture and people who grew up as Christians,
iyo dutangira ibikorwa byacu ibyo ari byo byose,
whenever we start whatever program that we have,
tujya dutangiza n'isengesho kubera yuko tuzi kuko Imana ni itanga ihumure kandi Imana ni ikomeza.
We start by praying because we know God is the one who encourages people, who gives people strength.
Nkirimo nkomeza gusaba abantu kwigira hino gukomeza kwicara hano, ibi byicaro byose bihari ni ibyacu.
As I'm asking people to come closer to the stairs, maybe even lower, you can sit anywhere on the stairs.
Reka dusabe atwemerere Pastor Laura senga Imana yegereza Imana muri uyu
mwanya. Let me ask Pastor Lauren to pray for us as we start.
Senga Imana, urakoze Uwiteka Nyiringabo kutwemerera guterana muri iki kibuga uyu mugoroba w'umunsi wa none. Teranijwe ahangaha no kwibuka abacu baza akarengane, ariko ne watuyoboye kugira ngo tugerane amahoro. Turasaba kugira ngo iyo tuja muri iki gikorwa imitima myinshi yongera kubabara igacika intege, ndetse rimwe na rimwe akaba n'ibibazo, ariko ndakuraritse kugira ngo uhumurize buri wese. Kandi ibyo dukora ahangaha ni ukwibuka abacu no kubaha agaciro, ndetse tubasabira n'ubutabera, kuko iyo tubusaba abantu ntibatwumva. Ariko yo nk'Imana ndakuraritse ngo amajwi yumvikanira aha hantu uyayobore kugira ngo agere mu matwi y'abacamanza cyangwa n'ababishinzwe, kugira ngo abantu bazabone uburenganzira bwabo, bazabone ubutabera, kugira ngo bitazongera kuba mu bwoko bwacu ndetse no mu gihugu. Ndasaba kugira ngo abari aha bose uhumurize imitima yacu, kandi ubugingo bwacu ukomeze ube hafi kubwahise umwami wacu. Amen.
Arakoze cyane Pastor.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Uyu munsi rero duteranijwe twese aha hantu kubwo kwibuka imiryango yacu, ababyeyi bacu bazize uko basa mu Gatumba.
We're all here to remember our families who lost their lives in Gatumba because of what they look like.
Hari muri 2004 ukwezi kwa munani iminsi 13 nk'uyu munsi wa none.
It was on August 13th in 2004.
Ariko kandi nk'ubwoko bw'abanyamurenge ntabwo ari bo bonyine twibuka.
And as the people Banyamulenge, they're not the only people that we are remembering today.
Turibuka n'abandi bagiye bikirwa handi hatandukanye.
Remember those who were killed in different places.
No kugeza kuri uyu munsi abaho bakirimo bikirwa.
And those who are being killed until today.
Iyo abantu baje muri iki gikorwa,
when people come in this gathering in memorial,
imitima y'abantu irikanga.
People's hearts are shocked.
Nubwo tubivuga ngo twaje kwibuka ariko twibuka buri munsi.
Even though we say we're coming to remember today, we remember every day.
Tuba twaje gutanga gateka ariko kwibuka duhora twibuka.
We're just coming here to give our testimony, but we remember every day.
Turabakiriye rero mwebwe mwese abageze aha hantu.
We welcome all of you who are here.
Ntabwo biba byoroshe kugira ngo abantu babone niyo myanya n'izimbaraga.
It is not easy for people to have the strength and the time to make it.
Ariko mwagize neza guha abaca agaciro.
But you have done well in giving honor to the people who passed.
Reka mvugire ijambo ndabizi hariho nabandi bakirimo baza nyuma.
Let me just say this one word, and I know that there are other people who are still coming.
Iyo ureba ku ntego yacu nukugira ngo dushakishe ukuntu hashobora kuba ubutabera.
The reason why we remember or gather together is to seek justice.
Ariko iyo umuntu yibaza ubutabera dushaka turabushaka ku bandi b'abanyembaraga.
And when you think what kind of justice do we want the justice from those who have the power to give it.
Noneho ukibaza twebwe ibyo dushoboye twebwe nka community y'abanyamurenge turabikora neza.
And then you start to wonder whatever we're able to do as the community of Banyamulenge, do we do it well?
Ntabwo bihagije kumva yuko ibyo abantu bakora cyangwa bashiramo imbaraga bahesha agaciro ari ibyo abandi babaha kurenza ibyo bo bikorera.
It's not good enough just to hear that you give power to the things that other people do for you more than what you can do for yourselves.
Hari ibyo dushobora kwikorera twenyine tukaba turimo turahesha bari abantu bacu ubutabera ko turabaha agateka kabo.
There are some things that we can do to bring justice to those people who died.
Iyo urebye muri community yacu ukuntu tungana hanyuma ukareba ababitabiriye bangana nimba twebwe tutarahe iki gikorwa agaciro ku rwego rwacu abo bandi bo ni bande.
If you see in our community how many people are in the community, and then you see the attendance of the people today, if we are not going to give the honor to those people who passed, who's going to do it?
Reka dukore urwacu ruhari.
Let us do for ourselves.
Twumve yuko kwibuka kubaho iteka ari byo bidukwiye nibwo butabera twebwe dutanga nubwo abandi batarabuduha.
And feel like remembering them always is the justice that we can give, even though we haven't received the justice from the government.
Twarimo tubiyegereza.
We're welcoming you.
Tubahaye kaze mwese.
We welcome all of you.
Twiyegereje abayobozi bacu ba community.
We welcome the leaders of the community.
Twiyegereje n'abayobozi bacuye igihe nabo bayoboye community.
And we welcome the leaders of the community. Those who used to be the previous leaders of the community.
Twiyegereje abapastori n'abandi bakozi b'Imana bari kumwe natwe muri iki cicaro.
We welcome the pastors and the other servants of God who are here.
Twiyegereje n'abandi bantu bose barimo batwumva barimo batambuka hano muri community ya Canada.
And we welcome anyone who's passing by but listening to us.
Ico nabasaba rero,
what I can ask from you is,
nuko wumva iki kintu waje gukora ko waje gufata mu mugongo uwabuzu wiwe hariya.
Is to understand that the reason why you're here is to empower the person who lost somebody in Gatumba.
Kandi turatanga mpore ku bwoko bwacu twese abanyamurenge.
And we give our condolences to the people of Banyamulenge in general.
By'umwihariko turaheza abacika cumu ba Gatumba.
Truly we give those who survived in Gatumba our condolences.
Ndumva rero turi mu mwanya umwe twese.
I feel like we're all in one moment.
Twihangane tugire kwihangana.
Truly take heart.
Reka turarike umuyobozi wacu wa BCC.
We're going to invite the leader of BCC.
Aze aduhe ijambo ryo gukingura
to come and share with us the opening word for the program.
Kandi dukomeza kwihangana.
And as we continue to take heart.
Ndabashuhuje mwese.
I greet all of you.
kandi nashimira abantu bose babashe kwitaba.
And I thank each and everyone who was able to come today.
Ndagira ngo murabona ko twabikoze mu buryo butandukanye.
As you can see, we did it in a different way.
Dushimiye cyane ababyeyi bacu baba ababadamu n'abapapa bubahishije kino kintu bakaba bicaye ahantu batagombaga kwicara aho mvuga ni ku maesikariye bakaba babikoze no kuri turabashimiye.
I truly thank the elders of the community for being okay with sitting on the stairs, something that you should not be sitting on.
Impamvu wenda mubona turi hanze uyu munsi twari dusanzwe dukorera bino bintu muri salle cyangwa se mu rusengero.
The reason why we're doing this here outside today when we usually do it inside of a community hall.
Twaricaye nka komite yateguraga kino gikorwa.
We sat as a committee that was preparing this program.
Tubona yuko ari ngombwa ko yuko twaza hanze tukareka kuzagumana mbese information dufite twenyine mu makanisa mu macace burya nubwo mutabona abantu baje ngo bicare hano bari gutegera baje nakare bakomeje kutubaza ico turi gukora hano uyu munsi.
We found that it was better for us to not keep everything to ourselves in our churches and everything, to come out here and share with everybody, even though it seems like there's no one listening. But anyone who's passing, they're listening. We had some people earlier who were asking us questions.
Ubwo rero ibyo mubona bidatunganye cyangwa se bitunganye nibidatunganye tuzagerageza kubitunganya ubutaha.
So whatever you see that it's not going well or that's going well, we will improve on it on next time.
Ndashaka kuvuga ku kintu kiduteranyije hano uyu munsi umuyobozi wa gahunda yarangije kubivuga.
I'm going to speak of why we're here today.
Ikiduteranyije hano uyu munsi ni ukwibuka Kuncuro ya 18.
The reason why we're here is to remember the 18th year since the massacre.
Na nukwibuka bene wacu cyangwa se bagenzi bacu bapfiriye mu Gatumba.
It's to remember our families, our friends who passed away in Gatumba.
Ubirebye inkambi bari batuyemo yabagamo ayandi moko ariyo bapfurero n'ababembe wenda n'abanyintu ntago ndishuba abanyintu cyane.
The refugee camp that they lived in, there were many different people of different ethnicities and tribes.
Ariko ubirebye neza umubare w'abanyamurenge bapfiriyemo bisobanura ko target y'umwanzi yari umunyamurenge cyane.
But if you look at how many Banyamulenge people died out of everybody, you can see that the Banyamulenge were the target.
Birababaje cyane.
It's really sad.
Kubona abantu bari bavuye Uvira bahunze intambara cyangwa kera ubwoba bwari bwabaye.
To see people who are just fleeing one country because of war.
Bagira ngo bagiye ahantu bashobora kubona agahengwe bagasinzira.
And they thought that they were going to a safe place where they would be able to sleep in peace.
Akariho babonera amahano yahinduye ubuzima bwabo mu buryo butazongera guhinduka ukundi.
And then they encountered something that changed their lives forever.
Hari igihe mbitekereza.
The times when I think about it,
bikandenga.
And it's beyond me.
Hari igihe mbona nk'umukobwa.
There are times when I see a young woman
wapfushije umubyeyi wiwe
who lost her parent,
abana biwe batazigera babona nyirakuru,
that her children will never see their grandparents,
batazabona sekuru,
who will never see their grandfather,
bikambabaza.
And it really saddens me.
Noneho nibaza ibisobanuro azahereza abana biwe,
and then when I try to think of the explanation she will give her children,
nkabibura,
and I can't think of it.
Ikindi nza ntekereza,
something else that I think about,
n'umuntu barabonye biriya bintu kubona intumbi z'abantu barenga 100.
It's someone who saw 100 people killed in one night, who saw the corpses.
Wibaza ukuntu yabaye affected mentally.
And you think about how that person was affected mentally.
No kibaza n'undi muntu byasigiye inkovu yo ku mubiri ikamusigira n'inkovu yo ku mutima.
And then you think of that person who had a physical wound and emotional wounds from that night.
Then tukicara ugasanga twahagurutse umunsi umwe mu mwaka ngo niho munsi wo kuza gushaka ubutabera.
And then you find that we only get together one time a year just to seek justice.
Nshewe natekerezaga nkavuga ati uyu mwaka tuzagerageza tubikora gutandukanye ndavuga umwaka utaha.
Me, I was thinking that this year we should do it different.
Yaba twari dufashe umwanzuro tukavuga ati tuzigaragambye umwaka wose guhera mu kwa mbere kugeza mu kwa 12 rimwe mu kwezi wenda impinduko zaboneka.
If maybe we can protest at least once a month for the whole year, we might be able to see some change.
kubera ko iyo batubona tuza rimwe tukicara amezi 10 yose then tukagaruka nyuma y'umwaka baravuga ati wenda bari abantu nabo ntago bari serious.
Because when they see us just come one day in the whole year and then we sit for 11 months and then come back, they might think like these people are not as serious as they say.
I think tugomba kwicara tukarevisinga kino kintu tukareba ko ubutabera bugomba kuboneka. Imyaka 18 ni myinshi.
We should sit down and revise, think about this and realize that justice must be served. It's been 18 years and that's a long time.
Tugomba kugiha imbaraga.
We have to give it power, strength.
Ndatekereza ko yuko imbaraga nkeya twagihaye niyo mpamvu ubwicanyi budahagaze n'uyu munsi bukomeza kuba bakavuga ati abasa n'indu barengera twishije na 66 umwe babiri batatu twica buri kwezi nico gituma se babona ubutabera.
And I believe that one of the reasons as to why killings keep happening in our country is because we have not put enough strength into it.
Nukuri ndasaba ngo twese twumve ko kino kintu kitureba.
I want each and every person to feel like this is something personal.
Nimba utari hari ahantu wahaburiye nyogosenge cyangwa se mubyara wawe cyangwa se murumuna wawe.
If you are not there, you could have lost an aunt, a cousin, or a brother, a sister.
Ariko tugerageze guhiga agaciro gashoboka.
But let us give this thing value.
Nkaba nshimira abantu bose baje hano uyu munsi.
And I would like to thank each and every person who came here today.
Twebwe turi hano.
I would like to ask those who are here.
Tubashe kurivisinga kino kintu uburyo tushobora kugikoramo kugira ngo kibashe kugira imbaraga nk'izo zari zifite mu 2004.
To revise and think on this and so that it can have power, the same power that it had in 2004.
Ni inshingano zacu twebwe bariho cyangwa basigaye.
It is our responsibility as those who are alive and those who survived.
Kugira ngo tuzahesha abantu agaciro.
To give people honor.
Abazungu nibo bakunze kuvuga ati ngo uyu muntu yo yapfuye ngo bari kuwatchinga.
The Western people say that when a person is dead, they're usually watching over us.
Mureke baze batureba bavuga ati bano bantu hari ico bari gukora kubuzima bwacu mu buryo bwarenganyemo.
Let us know that whenever they look at us, they can say, oh, at least these people are doing something to give us justice.
Ariko koko nimba batureba nkuko abazungu babivuga bari mu kutugaya.
But truly, if they look at us, if they watch us as the Western people say, they are not happy with what we're doing.
Nukuri tubashe kugerageza.
Please, let's try.
Dukora ibyo dushoboye kugira ngo dusupportinge bagenzi bacu baburiye ababyeyi n'abana hariye.
And do everything that we can to support those who lost parents and mothers who lost their children.
So ntarambiranye cyangwa se ntavuze byinshi.
Without taking too long.
Nukuri main focus yacu no kugira ngo tubone ubutabera cyangwa se tubone justice ya bagenzi bacu bapfiriye hariye.
Truly our main purpose is to seek justice, to have justice.
Nabibabwiye.
As I've told you,
si kubwacu.
It is not for us.
Mureke umunsi umwe tuzicare tuvuge nk'abazungu tuvuge ati bari abantu bapfuye bari proud yacu.
Let us one day sit and say those who passed are proud of us for what we have done.
Dukore ico dushoboye twe tukiri bazima.
Let us who are still alive to do something they were able to do.
Duhaguruke dutange support ishoboka yose.
Let us stand up and give whatever support you're able to give.
Mu 2023
in 2023
tuzabashe kubona impinduka tuzosubire tugaruke hano tuzi ko hari amakuru meza dufite.
We would like to see change so that when we come back next year we will be able to announce something good news.
Kandi ikindi wenda ndangiza
something else as I finish.
Ntanze pole ku bantu bose baciye muri biriya bintu.
I would like to tell each and everyone who went through that to take heart.
Biratangaje kubona ngo aba bantu baragenda batarigeze baca mu kubona aba counselor cyangwa aba therapist.
It's surprising to know that most people have not gone and to seek mental health counseling.
Niyo mpamvu nzavuga ati Imana koko yacu y'abanyamurenge irakora.
And that is why sometimes say that the God of Banyamulenge truly works.
Tuba dufite abantu barwaye mu mitwe basaze barwaye hahamuka kubera biriya bintu.
We have some people who were they lost their minds because of what happened.
ariko mureke dukomere
But let us be strong
n'umwanzi wacu abone ko dukomeye.
so that our enemy can see that we're strong.
Icyo nzi cyo aho bari ababikoze bari kutureba
What I know-
bazabishima
What I know is that those who did it, who committed the massacre, are watching us.
bazabishima iyo to breakings down bakabona turi kurira tubabaye.
When they see us crying and sad, it makes them happy.
Ariko ndatekereza ko amarira turira atari ay'akababaro,
But I think that the tears that we're shedding are not for sadness.
ni amarira yongera kudusubizamo intege yo kutubwira ati dusubire twongeremo agatege kugira ngo tubone justice.
But there are tears that encourage us to take heart and be strong so that we can get the justice that we need.
Icyo twabwira umwanzi wacu cyangwa se umuntu wakoze bino n'uri gutekereza gukora ibindi nk'ibi,
What we can tell the person who committed this or anyone who's thinking of committing the same thing,
turakomeye,
we're strong.
ntago tuzareka kubivuga cyangwa se kugaruka hano ubutaha
We'll never stop talking about it or coming back here again to remember
kuzageza tubonye ubutabera.
until when we receive the justice that we deserve.
Murakoze.
Thank you very much.
nk'uko abivuze
As she has said,
biba bigoye kubyiyumvisa yuko hariho umuntu utagira uwo azabwira azita nyirakuru.
it's very hard to think that there are some people who will never be able to tell their children who
Udafite
their
uwo yita
grandparents
mama.
are. People who don't have someone to call mom,
uwabyaye cyangwa uzabyara abana batazagira anko batazagira shangazi.
or you have kids who will never have an uncle or an aunt,
abo bantu tukabana nabo muri sosiyete turimo.
and those people will live with them in the society, in our society.
twavuga ngo tuze kwibuka uyu munsi umwe tuba twafashe,
And then whenever we say to come and remember this one day that we took out of the year,
ugasigara mu rugo iwawe,
and then you stay in your home
abana bawe ukabarekera mu rugo.
and you keep your children with you
sinzi
in
ko
your
hari
house.
ubumuntu wigisha.
I don't know what you're teaching.
sinzi nimba wumva yuko guhumuriza undi muntu
I don't know if you feel like encouraging another person.
birimo kuba wagenda ugaceceka ukabona bisa nk'ibitakureba.
It means that you stay quiet and you feel like that's not your business.
ni ikintu twebwe tugomba guhindura mbere yuko abo dushakaho ubutabera nabo babikora.
It is something we have to change in us before we seek justice.
tugomba
From those
kubiha
that we need
agaciro
justice.
kabyo.
We have to give it the honor that it deserves.
umuntu wishwe azira uko yaremwe,
Anyone who was killed because of what they look like,
ntawe yibye,
they did not steal anything.
ntaco yagiye kunyaga,
They did not take anything from anyone.
ntawe aburana nawe,
They don't have a problem with
ariko
anyone,
akambuga ubuzima.
but they take their lives away.
hanyuma natwe tubizi yuko uwo muntu yambuwe ubwo buzima,
And us who know that the person's life was taken away,
abantu twavuga ngo tuze tuje kubibuka tubahe iteka,
whenever we say let's go remember them and keep them in our memory,
ugahitamo kuguma iwawe mu rugo,
you choose to stay in your home
ukabona ibere nk'ibintu by'abantu badafite akamaro.
and you feel like this is something for those people who do not have
bigomba
value.
guhinduka.
It has to change.
kuko nabivuze,
As I've said,
turimo turibuka abantu bacu
we are remembering our people
biciwe mu Gatumba,
who were killed in Gatumba.
ariko si wo wonyine, no kugeza n'uyu munsi mu Minembwe, Ibubembe, ku Ndondo abantu barimo baricwa
But
kugeza
it's
n'uyu
not
munsi.
just them. Until today, there are many people being killed in Minembwe and many cities in Congo.
uku kwezi kwa munani nk'uko abantu benshi bakuzi ku bwoko bwacu bw'Abanyamurenge,
This month of August, as many people know, for our people,
ni ukwezi kwagiye kubamo ibibazo bitandukanye.
it is a month that had so many different problems in different years.
98 abantu biciwe za Kinshasa, za Lubumbashi,
In 1999, people were killed in Kinshasa and Lubumbashi,
za Kabera
in Kabera,
n'ahandi hatandukanye,
and many other different
za
places.
Kalemi.
In Kalemi.
ni ukuvuga ngo ni ukwezi kubi,
It means that it's a really bad month for our people.
n'abandi bakiyabapfa n'uyu munsi.
And those who are still being killed today.
ariko rero
But
ntabwo twahora tubabaye,
we cannot always have sorrow.
kuko presidente yabivuze,
As President Solange said,
ukwifuriza ikibi iyo abonye cakugezeho akabona cakubashije,
when someone who's wishing bad thing to you, when they see that that thing has become has destroyed your life,
abageze kuri success
it
yiwe.
means that they have succeeded.
ntabwo twaheranwe n'agahinda,
We will not always be in sorrow, be in mourning.
abantu bagenda n'akagahinda kabo babuze,
Those who always walk with the sorrow because of who they lost,
ariko baraseka bahisemo guseka umunsi ku wundi,
but they choose to laugh day to day.
ariko turabibuka
But we still remember those who died.
kuko nabivuze
As I've said,
twagiye tubura abantu ahantu hatandukanye.
we lost people in many different places.
Ndagira ngo dusabe umuvandimwe Kayonga,
We would like to welcome our brother Kayonga.
muzi ibyabaye i Bukavu,
Some of you know what happened in Bukavu.
hari abacikacumu b'i Bukavu,
There are people who survived the war in Bukavu.
kandi turaza kuba dufite n'ubuhamya bw'abacikacumu bo muri Gatumba,
And we're going to have testimonies from people who survived the massacre in Gatumba.
ariko ndagira ngo nsabe umuvandimwe Kayonga
But I would like to
Aze
ask our
aduhe
brother
ubuhamya
Kayonga to come and give his testimony.
bw'Abanyabukavu.
To give a testimony for those who pass in Bukavu.
Uno munsi iyo bawuhuje n'ibyabereye i Bukavu,
Whenever they put today with what happened in Bukavu,
ndetse nkabona igihe kimwe tunawuhuza n'ibyagiye bibera n'ahandi hose,
and sometimes we take other tragedies that happen in different places and put it on the same day,
tukabyibuka tuvuga ngo abanyamurenge aho biciwe bose tugomba kubibuka kandi tugaha agaciro abazize ubu bugome bashaka kudukorera.
and we say that we're remembering all Banyamulenge, those who have gone through this sort of tragedy because of what they look like.
Nubwo ari ukwibuka,
Even though it's remembering,
ntabwo twohora twibuka tudafite icerekezo cyangwa se tudafite ico dushaka kuzakora kuri injustice yadukorewe.
we can't always remember without a purpose or a reason why we are remembering, which is seeking justice for those who did it.
Iri rigiye kuba nk'ijya kabiri cyangwa ijya gatatu ntanga ubu buhamya.
This is going to be about my second or third time that I'm giving testimony.
Suko aribwo ngisobanukirwa cyangwa se aribwo nkimenya agaciro ko gutanga ubuhamya.
It's not that I'm just realizing the value of giving testimony or why we should be giving it.
Ahubwo nuko nahoze nifuza cyangwa se igihe cyose ntigeze tanga ubuhamya nari nshaka kwihateme kugira ngo menye impamvu nibuka n'icerekezo ngomba kubifatira kugira ngo iyi justice dora tuvuga tuzoyigereho.
But I wanted to take time and understand for myself why I want to do it and how we can seek for the justice that we want.
Rero mu myaka 18 ishize,
In the 18 years that have passed,
teme yanje yahoze ari ukuvuga ngo twibuke ariko twiyubake.
my theme has always been, let us remember but also build ourselves.
Akababaro kacu rero buri mwaka kariyongera iyo tugeze kuri uno munsi tukibuka ibyagiye biba ku bantu bacu.
Our sadness increases every year whenever we come close to this day as we remember what happened to our people.
Cyane cyane kuzabaye i Bukavu n'ibyabaye mu Gatumba.
More so from what happened in Bukavu and in Gatumba.
Mvuga kuzo mu Gatumba bukeya, aha ni ahantu abantu bacu bagiye bahunga bavuye ahantu hatandukanye babwiwe yuko bagiye kurindwa na UN.
When I speak about Gatumba, this is a place where our people came from different places seeking refuge, and they were told that the UN is going to protect them.
Genocide rero yari yo gukumigwa n'aba twari twizeye ko baducungiye umutekano.
This genocide should have been
Kogwa byiwe byose atagira justice nimwe.
That's why justice that we're talking about it, we cannot expect it from someone who has not showed justice in anything.
Ico nshatse kuvugiraho nuko ibyabereye mu Gatumba aho impunzi zari zirinzwe na UN.
What I'm trying to say is that what happened in Gatumba to people under the protection of the UN,
siho honyine byagiye biba dukomeje no kubibona n'ahandi hantu hose biguma kuba bitwa ngo bari mu birindiro bya UN na za MONUSCO n'abandi.
It's not the only place that it happened. There are places that it continues to happen, even though those people are supposed to be under the protection of the MONUSCO and the UN.
Ico rero nasaba no kugira ngo mubyo tugenda tubona tuzokuremo isomo rivuga ngo kuba mu birindiro bya UN ntabwo ari garanti y'umutekano.
So what I can tell you is that as we continue to see things, what we're learning is that just being under the protection of the UN, it doesn't mean that you're actually safe.
Ibyabereye mu Gatumba,
What happened in Gatumba,
byatwibukije yuko hari ubundi bwicanyi bwagiye bukorerwa imbere ya UN n'abandi biyita ngo bacungiye abantu umutekano. Iyo rero nza ntanga ubuhamya ariko kubusubiramwo,
I give my testimony, but repeating it,
biza bimpa kwibuka yuko hari byinshi ngifite gukora ubwanje.
it really helps me to remember that there are many things that I still have to accomplish for myself.
Kuko aba bantu bapfuye muri intambara,
Because these people were killed in this war,
nta wamenya aho baba ari n'umunsi wa none.
no one knows where they'll be in their lives. Have they been given the opportunity to live their full lives?
Hapfuye abana,
Children were killed,
abagore,
women were killed.
abo bose ni abantu b'agaciro muri community.
Those are people of value in our community.
I Bukavu rero mu 2004
In Bukavu in 2004,
nibwo nanje nabonye nyine ubu bwicanyi,
that's when I saw the killing.
ariko mbere yaho bukeya mu 2002 kandi
But in 2002,
novuga ko twapfukiye hato kandi.
I will say that there was a smaller killing, or we survived somewhere.
Twapfukiye hato. We
Survived.
missed,
Okay, we missed death by small margin.
iyo ni intambara ya Mudundu Karanta, abaza amateka murayazi kundusha.
That is the war of Mudundu Karanta.
Bimwe nabibonyeho bukeya, ariko ibyinshi nafashe umwanya nsubira mu bitabo zagiye byandikwa n'amaraporo yagiye kugira ngo mbashe gusobanukirwa ibi bintu.
Some of those things I saw a little bit of it because I was younger, but I was able to read the books about what happened in order to understand it.
Rero mubyo ndi buvuge wenda byoba binyuranyije nuko wenda amateka amwe twagiye tuyabwirwa.
So what I'm going to talk about, if it's a little bit different from what we've been told,
nizere ko bitagira uwo bikomeretsa, ahubwo biza kugira uwo biha kwibaza no gushaka gukora ubushakashatsi
I hope that it won't hurt anybody, but it will give you courage to go and do your own research.
Imyaka nkinishize,
About 4 years ago,
nibwo nasomye imwe muri raporo nyine zasohotse zabaye mu ntambara yabaye Bukavu.
that's when I read a report from reporting of the war in Bukavu.
Human right yacishije hejuru gusa ku byabaye.
Human right kind of just summarize what happened.
Ariko nje gusoma mbona liste y'abantu bake bavuze muri iyo raporo.
But when I was reading, I saw a short list of the people they talked about in the report.
Muri iyo raporo,
In that report,
niho nasomye n'izina rya mukuru wanje.
that's where I read my older brother's name.
Waguye muri iyo ntambara y'Bukavu ya 2004.
He died in the war in Bukavu.
Hari ku itariki navuga zari 23 cyangwa 24 mu ijoro.
I think it was about August 24th at night time.
Nk'abana nyine gusa twari ko dukina bisanzwe ku mugoroba.
As children were just playing as usual in the evening.
Ariko tuje kubona,
And then when something happened,
ababyeyi batangira kuza bashaka abana iyo bagiye gukinira bose.
we saw the parents coming together with children where they were playing.
Ariko muri iki gihe noneho baje bafite umuvuduko mwinshi kandi ubona ko hari ubwoba bwinshi.
That time it was different from the usual call to come back home from the parents. You saw that the parents were worried.
Ntabwo bigora umwana kumenya uburyo umubyeyi aguwe.
It's not hard for a child to notice the difference in their mother.
Twahise tuja mu nzu.
We went in our home.
Amasaha yo kurya ibya nimugoroba yarageze.
It was about time to eat dinner.
Bavuga amakuru yuko mu mujyi ni papa wana yazanye avuga yuko mu mujyi ngo hari akavuyo.
Our father told us the news that in the city there's something going on in the city.
Ariko bavuga ko atari bisanzwe hashobora kuba intambara.
But they said that it wasn't something usual. There might be a war breaking.
Habaye ubwoba abenshi ntibigeze banarya.
Some people could not even eat because they were scared.
Mu mwanya muto tuza kumva amasasu.
And then in a few minutes we started hearing bullets, shootings.
Ntabwo ndigisira imbere cyane ariko ayo masasu uye wari kugira ngo ni diskete bashizemo.
I'm not someone who dances gisirimba, but when you were hearing the bullets flying by, it sounded like music of
bararasa ubwoba bwuzura abantu.
They were shooting and then people started to get scared.
Ariko muri iri joro nta wari kumenya uwari kurasundi kuko nubundi twari mu mazu.
But at that night no one knew who was shooting who because we were inside our homes.
Bigeze mu gicuku bisa nkaho bicecetse.
And in the middle of the night the shooting kind of stopped.
Tugira ngo ni bisanzwe kuko nubundi twari dusanzwe twumva amasasu hakaba akavuyo bukeya abantu bagasubira mu buzima busanzwe.
And then we thought it was normal because it wasn't unusual to hear shootings here and there, and then people went back to their regular lives usually.
Bukeye bwaho ndetse twari tuzi kubuzima busubiye kuba ubusanzwe.
And then in fact we expected life to just go back to normal the next morning.
Abasohoka barasohoka bamwe baja no kuramukanya.
Some people left and they went to visit other people.
Ariko hari sokuru umwe yarasohotse bukeya kumva induru iravuze ngo hari abasirikare baje.
And then one of our grandparents got out of the house and then we heard someone screaming and they were saying that soldiers are coming.
Ariko aho nari nsimbutse buke mbere yaho habanje gusubira kuba amasasu kandi birirwa barasana.
I had jumped ahead a little bit, but before that they were shooting during the day too.
Bararwana ku Banyamurenge ico gihe nza nibuka bavuga ngo ababyeyi baye bavuga ngo irarangira ngo kandi ngo Abanyamurenge ngo ntibaza batsindwa mu ntambara ngo akenshi.
They were fighting and at the time I remember that the parents were saying they're fighting but we're going to win because Abanyamurenge never lose.
Kumugoroba,
and then in the evening
amakuru ku radio avuga yuko Mutebutsi yahunze.
And we heard on the news that Mutebutsi has fled.
Hasubira kandi kuba gukonja mu bantu ubwoba burasubira kandi buba bwinshi.
And then people started to get scared again.
Ariko ntihagira kiba ku baturage basanzwe.
But nothing happened to the regular citizens.
Nibwo bwakeye bwaho ayo makuru nari mvuze ngo tugira ngo byarangiye.
And that's why we thought that nothing abnormal was going to continue. We thought it was finished with.
Uwo mugoroba ndetse bamwe twabashe no kurya kuko ijoro ryari ryatambutse nta wigeze agira icakoza mu nda n'umunsi.
The following evening some of us were able to eat in peace because we thought nothing else was going to happen.
Bukeye bwaho niho nari mvuze umwe sokura arasohoka nkaho byari bisanzwe aje hanze.
And then in the morning my grandpa went outside the house. It was like a normal thing.
Ariko mu minota mikeya abasirikare batangira kuza kuri buri nzu y'umunyamurenge gukomanga.
And then in a few minutes soldiers started coming at on every Munyamulenge's house knocking on it.
Urumva Abanyamurenge bari baneshejwe mu narukuneshwa muri yo ntambara.
It just meant that Abanyamulenge had been defeated in that war.
Abari basigaye rero abaturage bagombaga kwicwa bose.
Which means that the citizens those who were not soldiers who were left were going to be killed.
Ndasimbuka hagati aho haza kuza umusirikare uvuga ngo bamutumye gutabara Abanyamurenge.
I'm going to jump a little bit. There came a soldier who said that somebody sent him to come and help Banyamulenge.
Haba gushidikanya kwanza mu bantu.
Some people were doubting it.
Ariko twari tuzi ko nta wundi nyine wodukiza n'ubundi dupfa kwemera kuko nta indi choice yari hari mbona ari choice nyine.
But we knew that we had no other choice. There's no one else who was going to come and save us.
Turamukurikira.
We followed the soldier.
Atujana inzira numva ababyeyi bavuga ngo iyi sinzira yodukiza.
He took us in one of those trails that people say there's no way you're going to survive if you go in this way.
kuko abenshi bari inzira imwe yari yasigaye iyo dukiza kwari uguhungira mu Rwanda gusa.
Because the only way that we're able to survive is if we had went to the neighboring country of Rwanda.
Ariko atwerekeza mu mujyi aho tuzi ko abasirikare biteguye kwica.
But he was taking us to the city where we knew that the soldiers will kill us once we get there.
Mu mwanya muto tukigeraho,
In a few minutes after we got there,
abari basigaye inyuma twumva habaye urusaku.
those who were behind us, we heard some noise.
Ariko tuza kumenya yuko hari umwe mu bo twari tubanaho.
But we knew that there was someone that we used to live with.
Bavuga ko ngo yari umusirikare baramusigarana bamukubita.
And then they said that the person used to be a soldier, so they took him and they kept him and then they were beating him up.
Baramukubise amakuru amwe ngenda numva nuko habuze gato ngo bamwice ndetse uwo munsi.
They beat him to a point where he was about to die.
Aba nibo bantu twari ko tunyura hagati.
Those are the people that we were walking amongst.
Muri street uruhande rumwe rwari rurimo abasirikare n'uru ruhande narwo rurimo abandi.
On one side there were soldiers, on the other side of the street there are other regular citizens. Other soldiers. Yeah.
Kandi bose bari bafite imbunda biteguye kuturasa niko bari bategereje order gusa.
And each soldier had a gun, which means that they were just waiting for an order to kill us.
Ariko nta order bigeze bahabwa koko.
But the order did not come.
Ariko ntibzababujije kuturasa.
But it did not stop them from shooting us.
Kuturasa ndavuga abasivile batari bafite na pisto.
By shooting I mean shooting civilians who did not have any weapons on them.
Muri ico gihe abantu bari ko biterera aho bitereye gusa.
But at that time people were just jumping, you could just jumping wherever you could.
Dusimbira ahantu hari imanga ndende.
We jumped in a sort of a trench that was there.
Muri kakavuyo kayo masasu nyine yavugiye aho barasa abantu.
In the chaos of the bullets that the people who were dying being shot.
Aho niho twaje gusanga mukuru wanje bamurasiye.
That's where we found my brother. He had been shot.
Dusanga karavirirana amaraso menshi.
We found that he was bleeding extremely.
Ariko twari tugifite icyizere ko ari bubeho.
But we had a hope that he was still going to survive.
Muri uwo mwanya nza kubona mama.
And at that time I saw my mother.
Yarahetse murumuna wanje.
She was carrying my brother on my younger sibling on her back.
Urumva abandi bose twari tuzi ko bashize.
Which we thought at the time we thought everyone else had died.
Ndasimbuka ntavuze amakuru menshi bamwe abo twari tuzi ko bashize.
I'm going to jump a little bit. Some people that we thought were dead.
Twaje gusubira bamwe guhurira nabo mu Rwanda.
We met them in Rwanda.
Urumva hari yashize iminsi.
Days had passed. We didn't know where they were.
Amakuru nyuma yaho aza kudusanga tubwira ko
news came to us and it said
atubwira nyine ko mu bapfuye nyine batabashije kubaho.
They told us those who passed and those who passed, yeah.
Batubwira ko na mukuru wanje n'abandi twari twasize aho bamwe bapfuye.
And then they told us the news about how my brother died and those that we left there who were not able to survive.
Muri uwo mwanya nibwo aho bari aho MONUSCO yari yagiye kuduta ngo igiye kuturindira.
And that's when MONUSCO took us to a place of protection.
Si MONUSCO nako ni Monique niko bayitaga ngira ngo niba ari Monique.
At the time the organization was called Monique.
Nayo kugira ngo idusubize mu byacu itwambutsa mu Rwanda itujana mu nkambi.
Instead of taking us back home and giving us security, they took us to Rwanda in a refugee camp.
Nyuma yaho tugeze mu Rwanda.
After we got to Rwanda,
nyuma y'amezi atarenze abiri.
I think it had been about 2 months.
Tukimara ikiriyo chabaguye Bukavu.
After having a memorial of what happened in Bukavu,
ako kababaro katarashira.
We were still in deep sorrow because of it.
Amakuru adusanga mu Rwanda tubwira yuko mu Gatumba noneho byabaye ibindi.
We got the news that in Gatumba it's even worse.
Niyo mpamvu nashatse gukora ahantu ha Monique n'iyi UN.
That's why I wanted to take a Monique and UN.
Kuko no mu gihe cyose ibyo byari ko bibera Bukavu.
Because as the things were happening in Bukavu.
Ahantu Nyantabara tubwiye ko yari yahungiye niho ibyicaro bikuru byayo byari biri.
The place that Nyantabara had went to seek refuge is where the headquarters of Monique was.
Niba ari headquarters ariko ngira ngo niho abakozi baho bose urumva bari batuye.
I don't know if it was the headquarters, but that's where the workers lived.
Kuba rero tugeze hano uno munsi wa none.
For us to be here today.
Ntitubikesha Monique.
It's not because of the protection of Monique.
Ntitubikesha igihugu runaka.
It's not because of the protection of a certain country.
N'uwite gukora uburyo tutazi wabashe kutugezaho turi no munsi wa none.
It is only by the grace of God who works in mysterious ways who was able to protect us and bring us here today.
Ndabasaba rero.
So I would like to ask you.
Ntitukirengagize yuko abenshi bari hano.
Let us not kwirengagiza, I don't know. Let's not forget that many people are here.
Ari abacikacumu b'intambara zitandukanye.
There are people there are survivors of different wars.
Cyangwa se n'abana babzawe n'abacikacumu b'intambara nazo zitandukanye.
Or there are children of children who are survivors of different wars.
Ariko ikibabaje rero nuko amateka dusa nkaho tutakiyabwigwa uko byagenze.
But what's sad is that we are not being told of the history of what happened.
Bagashaka gufata amateka yacu bakayakubira mu myaka mike cyane.
And then they try to take our history and they put it in a few years.
Ibyo rero nje nkabona ko biramugaza urubyiruko kwitekerereza.
And I feel like that is discouraging the youth from thinking.
Kuko abenshi turi hano dutekereza ku ntambara zibera iwacu.
Because most of us are here and we're thinking about the wars that happen in our country.
Ariko niyo ijya teme navuze tuzoza twibuka ariko tugomba no kwiyubaka hano turi.
And that's the theme that I said we should remember but also build ourselves where we are.
Intambara ntiyashize.
The war is not over.
Ahubwo hano turi niho ikomeye kurusha niha ibera iwacu.
But where we are is where there's a bigger war than the one that's happening back home.
Gusa umwanzi duhanganye nawe.
But the enemy that we're fighting right now.
Numuhanga yiyambitse uruhu rw'intama yera.
It is an enemy who has clothed themselves with a white skin.
Kandi ari umusega urangamye uryana cyane.
Even though they're a big enemy, someone who can basically a wolf in a sheep's clothing.
Aduhejeje mu macakubiri.
They are continuing to divide us.
Ntareke tureba urubyiruko ruri hano n'intambara rukomeje kunyuramo ruhanganye n'uyu mwanzi.
And then don't let us look at the youth and what they're going through fighting the enemy that we have now.
Twakuze batubwira yuko muri iki gihugu ariho ubukiriro bwacu buri.
We grew up people telling us that our salvation is in this country.
Ariko nyamara tumaze kubibona yuko na hano tuwashika imitego batega urubyiruko rukiri ruto.
But we have come here now we know that the traps that they have for the young people.
Rutuma rutaba connected cyane na community yabo.
Which is keeping them from being connected to the community.
Nkaba rero nsaba ababyeyi abantu bakuru bari hano.
So I would like to ask the elders and the parents who are here.
Mufite inshingano zikomeye cyane.
You have great responsibility.
Zitari zo kureba intambara zibeririya.
To not look just at the war that's happening back home.
Kuko urubyiruko rwacitse ku icumu cyangwa rwabzawe n'abacika cumu bari mu mahanga.
Because the youth that survived massacres or war, or those who give birth to children of children who survived massacres.
Nibo bafite imbaraga nyazo.
Those are the people who have the power.
Zishobora guhangana n'uyu mwanzi.
That can fight this enemy.
navuze ko ari umuhanga abasha kwihisha mu buryo tutabasha kumubona n'amaso yacu direct.
I said that the enemy is an expert. They can hide in ways that we cannot see them with our eyes.
Aduteza abo tuvukana.
They pit us against each other.
Abo twarenganiye hamwe.
Those who went through the same thing as us.
Tukaruha tukibagirwa aho intambara yatangiriye nyayo yatugejeje aho turi no munsi wa none.
And then we start to forget where the war started, the one that the reason why we're here today.
Ntavuze ntagumye gutinda ndarangiriza kuri iri jambo.
I'm going to finish on this word.
Ni ijambo umuntu yanyohereje kuri Instagram.
It is a word that somebody sent to me on Instagram.
Ni ijambo cyangwa se ni symbole ikoreshwa n'ubwoko bitangwa n'aba Akan.
It is a word or a symbol that's used by people called Akan.
Ni symbole bitangwa ni Sankofa.
It's a symbol called Sankofa.
Ni symbole y'inyoni ihagaze n'amaguru abiri areba imbere.
It is a symbol of a bird standing with two legs looking ahead, forward.
Umutwe wayo werekeye inyuma.
And the head looking backwards.
Ufashe igi.
Holding an egg.
Muri iyo symbole bayikoresha kuvuga ngo.
That symbol, the meaning of that symbol is.
Ngo tugomba gusubira inyuma.
It means that we have to look back.
Tukigaruriza ibyari byacu.
And then bring what used to be ours.
Tukamenya amateka yari ayacu.
And then remember our history.
Kuko nibwo buryo bwonyine bwadufasha kumenya kureba imbere aho dukeneye kuja.
Because it is the only way that we'll be able to look forward where we want to go.
Amateka yacu ni maremare.
Our history is very long.
Tuyakubire mu myaka mike gusa.
Let us not just put it in a few years.
Ahubwo tuyarebere muri picture nini.
But let us look at our history in a bigger picture.
Ataruko tuzohora twibuka.
Otherwise we will continue to remember.
Niyo justice turashobora no kutazoyibona.
And that justice we might not get it.
Nico mbasaba kugira ngo to define iyo justice dushaka.
That is why I want us to define the justice that we want.
Kugira ngo tumenye ico tugomba gukora mu gihe turi hano.
So that we can know what we should be doing while we're here.
Murakoze.
Thank you.
Mugira umunsi.
Have a good day.
Arakoze Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Kandi dukomeje kukwihanganisha.
And we continue to ask you to take heart.
Tudafashe undi mwanya muremure.
Without taking too long.
Byukuri biba bishimishije kubona abantu batoya ufashe 2004 imyaka Jimmy yari afite.
Truly it's nice to see young people. If you take Jimmy, remember how old he was in 2004.
Bigaragara kuko yari umwana mutoya.
Means that he was a young child.
Ariko ntaheranwa nibi.
But he does not.
Ibi bitanga icizere yuko.
This gives hope that.
Ico dushaka cy'ubutabera tuzabubona.
The justice that we want, we will receive it.
Uyu mwaka byabaye nk'ibintu bidasanzwe.
This year it's kind of different.
Abantu bakomeje kubikurikira ku social media.
Many people continue to follow it on social media.
Ni nk'umwaka w'abantu batoya barimo batanga ubuhamya bari bafite imyaka 5-3 kuzamura gutya.
It is almost it's as if it's a year for the younger survivors to give their testimony.
Kuri njewe byanteye icizere.
For me it gave me hope.
Mbifata nka kurya nyuma y'imyaka 18 nka kurya iyo umuntu yagiye muri operation bakamutera ikinya.
And I feel like when a person goes in surgery and then they give him an anesthetic,
arazima.
They lose consciousness or they go under.
Abantu iyo ataragarura bwa bwenge.
When they're not back to normal,
abantu babazi ko wa muntu yapfuye.
People sometimes think that that person is dead.
Kuba turimo tugira abantu barimo batanga ubuhamya nyuma y'imyaka 18 batarabashije kubivuga.
For us to have people who have not spoken in 18 years be able to open up now.
Birimo biragarura icizere cyo guhembuka.
It means that people are healing.
Mushiki wacu hano Joyce.
Our sister Joy.
Numucikacumu wa Gatumba.
She's a survivor of Gatumba.
Nubwa mbere agiye gutanga ubuhamya.
It is her first time giving a testimony.
Ntabwo byari byaramushobokeye.
It wasn't easy.
Sinzi nimba ndibwiyambaze umwe uri hafi kugira ngo aze kumufasha gusobanura.
Okay.
Hanyuma atugezeho ubuhamya.
I think ndavuga mu Kinyamurenge just so.
Okay. Adasa twagusaba. Uravuga mu Kinyamurenge cyangwa uvuze undi mu Kinyamurenge?
Oya mu Kinyamurenge. Tuye Adasa sobanura.
Okay. Mbasabe tugire ituze kandi tugire kwihangana.
Please be patient and
Umuntu yarimo avamo ikinya akunze kubona ko abantu bamuri iruhande.
thank you. Mwiriwe mwese.
How are you, everybody?
Ndagerageza kuvuga ikinyamurenge.
I'm gonna try to speak in Yamurenge.
Ninanigwa ndavanga hanyuma hadasoza hindura.
If she's not able, she's just gonna mix up and then we'll go together from there.
Jewe biza bingora kuvuga testimony.
It's really hard for me to speak about my testimony.
Nibwo bwa mbere kija kuvuga imbere y'abantu.
It is my first time speaking in front of people.
Buri mwaka iyo nageza mbitekereza kubivuga.
Every year when I thought about speaking of what happened to me,
nageza n'abanyumva tangiye kujuguma.
I will feel like I'm out of my body, so I'll be shaking.
Kamanyumva umuhogo tangiye kugara.
And then my throat just shuts down and then I can't speak.
Ariko ndagerageza uyu munsi.
But today I'm gonna do my best.
Kamvuge bukeya anjewe banyita Joy Mugenza.
My names are Joy Mugenza.
Ndi umusita nkaba umwishwa w'abagorora.
I am umusita and umwishwa w'abagorora.
Navukiye muri Zura.
I was born in Buda.
Naciye muri iriya ntambara muri Zura yo muri 1998.
I was in the war that was in Buda in 1998.
Niyo ntambara ya mbere nabonye.
That was the first war I experienced.
Ariko njewe kubera nari umwana hariho n'abazeyi bariko bamprotectinga nabonye n'ubuzima nyine ntacyo nje zantwaye.
Ariko I mean, because I was a kid and my parents were protecting me, I really don't have any recollection of it.
Bwa mbere nabonye abantu bapfuye ngira ngo sinzi nima memory yanje itazibuka neza ariko nibuka igihe twavuye muri Zura tugiye Kalemi.
The first time we went from Buda and going to Kalemi,
hariho uruzi twaciyeho hanyuma urwo ruzi nabonye ngo abantu imirambo y'abantu.
So we passed through a certain ocean or lake, and then there was bodies of people in there. I remember.
Sinzi nimba ari iyihe ntambara yari yabaye ariko nuko nje nzibukege uko nabibona.
I'm not sure of what war was happening there, but that's what I remember vividly.
Twaragiye tuva muri Zura tuja Uvira.
We went from Buda to Uvira.
Muri Zura Uvira twarahabaye mu mahoro nje nari umwana nta kibazo cari gihari.
In Uvira we lived there. It was fine for me. There was no problem.
Ndibuka umunsi umwe twari twicaye imbere y'inzu yacu hanyuma sinzi intambara yari kuba ako twariko tureba kurera misozi jaruguru twicaye.
I remember we were sitting by our house and I could see mountains.
Hanyuma ukamubona amasasu n'amamombe ahagenda tambuka tukicara hanze gusa tukayireba.
And then you will see like on top of the mountain you will see bullets and like across bullets fire just going across. And it didn't really scare us as much because I think it was just a part of our lives. When you go through such a thing you become almost numb and you feel like it's just normal.
Sinibuka umunsi twagiye mu Gatumba ariko ndibuka yuko igihe turimo kwitegura kugenda mama yari yambwiye ngo nje ndaje ruguru nje gusanga bakaka ariho tuzobana hanyuma aje mu Gatumba na murumuna wanje.
So the day we were supposed to go in Gatumba, I think I remember my mom telling me that I was supposed to go back to my grandparents and then she will go in Gatumba with my little brother.
Hanyuma umunsi wanyuma ugeze ahita aravuga ngo yango nje ndasigarana nawe tujane mu Gatumba hanyuma murumuna musaza wanje mutoya kuri njewe abari ugenda aja kubana na bakaka.
So on that day when we're supposed to move, my mother said I'm going to end up going with her in Gatumba and then my brother is going to go back with my grandparents.
Hanyuma nje na mama turaza mu Gatumba na murumuna wanje mutoya yaritwa David ubwo yarafite imyaka 3 igihe byabaye.
So we went, me, my mother and my little brother David. I believe David at that time he was 3 years old.
Kuko nyine nari ndi umwana kuba mu nkambi nje ntaco byari bintwaye nari ndi kumwe n'ishuti zanje twagiza dukina kuko bisanzwe so nta kibazo nje nari mbifitiye.
So living in refugee camp, it was not really a big concern for me because I was a child. I didn't have any other way to think of it, and I had friends and I play with my friends. It was like a normal life actually.
Hanyuma reka nje nihute mvuge ura munsi byabaye mu bisanzwe abana bo mu Gatumba twageza dukina gushika ijoro rigi twageza dukina amagame menshi yo kugenda tureba abantu kuko abantu begamiye tente ukaza bakubita n'inkoni or something, and then tugakina ijoro ryose.
So back there when we used to live in refugee camp, we would play until like the whole night when the sun sets. So and it was pretty fun.
Hanyuma uwo munsi twagiye kuryama hakiri kare, sinzi impamvu twagiye kuryama hakiri kare kubera abantu bazambwira ngo zatangiye ngo saa 4 z'ijoro.
So for some reason, people say that we went to bed early that day, but I'm not sure because usually people say that it started around 10 p.m.
Icyo nibuka nuko mama yaje aramzutsa arambwira ngo nimzuke nambara amahuzu.
What I remember is my mother came and said, dress up and we're gonna go.
Hanyuma hari aro agatobore kuri tent yacu.
There was a little hole in our tent.
Hanyuma ndebamwo nshiramwo ijisho ndareba.
And then I looked in that little hole.
Hanyuma nje izo nariko mbona ni utuntu dutukura gusa twako du flying.
So what I could see in the tent, it was little, almost like fireworks, but it was bullets flying through.
Hanyuma mbona nyumva abantu batangiye kwamiriza abantu benshi matente bari batwegereye kumva abantu bamiriza ariko sinarinzi kiyaki bahanze y'itente yacu.
So I heard people screaming and I would hear people scream, but I didn't understand what was happening behind the tent.
Mama amaze kumbwira ngo nyambare ngo twatewe ndambara amahuzo hanyuma turicara mbona abantu bamwe batangiye gusohoka nyuma y'itente yacu.
So my mom told me to dress up. I dressed up and then I saw people from the back of the tent, they were exiting.
Hanyuma mama aravuga ngo reka ace ukunta matente yarameze yari itente nini anyibika bigabuyemwo kugira ngo famille yose bifita aga privacy gakeya.
So the way the tent were, it was like one big huge tent and then there was a division or little things to divide different families so that they could have a little privacy.
Hanyuma mama aravuga ngo gusatura itente hano hanyuma ngo ducemwo.
So my mom said she's going to cut a little bit of the tent so that we can have a way to exit.
Hanyuma amaze kuyikata agisohoka gutya twahise tubona umuntu yarahagaze ahangaha imbere yacu.
So after she cut the tent, there was a person in front of us when she cut the tent.
Hanyuma icyo nibuka nabonye gusa mama asubira inyuma agwa hasi.
What I remember is my mom fell backwards and I believe she was shot.
Tarindi jambo nyumvisha asubira kuvuga nari.
And she didn't say any word. She just fell backwards.
Mbere y'ikuzo biba yaranyicaje arambwira ngo mubabarire ngo nimba hari ico arambwira ngo mubabarire nimba hari ico yakoze kirambabaza naje ndambwira ngo mbabarire hanyuma nico gihe twagiye tugiye gusohoka.
So before that she had told me to forgive her if I did something wrong to upset her. And then
asinibuka aho murumuna yanje wanje yararaye umwanya.
I don't really remember where my brother was at that time.
Ico numvishe ikintu kinkubise hano.
All I heard was something hit me on the side and those were bullets.
Ntago zariko yobaza wari kumva gusa nk'ikintu gifite force kigukubise cyane.
So the way I could describe it, it's like something hard just hitting you.
Hanyuma sinzi cyabaye naje kwisanga nsanga nicaye hanze y'itente yacu.
So I am not sure what happened after the bullet hit me. I found myself standing just behind the tent.
Sinzi nimba narikuruye nje nyine cyangwa nimba hari umuntu waje aramfasha aransohora.
I'm not sure if I pulled myself or somebody pulled me. I'm not sure.
Ico nibuka nuko gusa nabonye undi mwana twari tubana wari bitwa ngo Debora nabonye ari ku muryango bamurashe mu umutwe wabaye open.
All I remember is this girl named Deborah. I saw her, who we grew up together, and her head was cut in half.
Hanyuma mbona matente atangiye gusha.
And then I saw the tents were on fire.
Hanyuma mbona mama arimo gusha.
And I saw my mom burning.
Hanyuma dicarangaho sinzi zariko bica mu mutwe kubera nari navuye barandashe hano ku buryo nashize ku bitaro ukazibona indani mu mubiri.
So what I remember is they shot me on my side, and when I got to the hospital, you could just see the insides of me.
Hanyuma bandasa ku kuguru kubera ukuntu amagufa yari yamenetse kwabaye nkuku sinariko mbasha kukugorora.
And they also shot me in the leg, and I couldn't stretch my leg straight.
Hanyuma naricara aho ngaho ndareba gusa amatente ahasha mbona abantu babirukanka basubira mu bihuru byari bitwegereye.
So I just sat there and I saw the tents burning, and I saw people running into the bush to seek for refuge.
Hanyuma hari umugabo umwe waje ancaho arahagarara aho ngaho iruhande rwanje akazambwira ngo abantu bashize ngo bandashe ngo uko ndapfa. Simwibuka uwo mugabo.
And there was a man who kept telling me people are dying, somebody shot me, but I don't remember his name and I don't remember who he is. But he was saying I'm dying.
Hanyuma maze mbonaga sinzi nimba ari abantu bacu bariko bashaka gushaka aho bakirira aribo bariko biruka mu ishamba cyangwa ari bajya abantu bamaze kutwica bahabagenda.
I'm not sure who he was, but there were people running in the bush and there were people coming towards the tents.
Maze mbona ico nibuka kandi nuko bari badushize mu bisi bagiye kudutwara mu bitaro.
And what I remember is that they put us in the bus and they were taking us to the hospital.
Ibisi yari yuzuye abantu ariko basanga bari kuntebe n'abandi baryamye hasi.
The bus was so full. There were people on the chair of the bus, people on the ground.
Hanyuma badutwara i Bujumbura mu bitaro.
And then they took us in Bujumbura in the hospital.
Ibitaro byari byuzuye ariko usanga abantu baryamye hasi mu bitaro gusa kubera ntago bari bafite ibitanda bibakwiriye.
Because the hospital was so full, there were people laying just on the ground because there was no room or beds.
Hanyuma jewe ico nibuka sinza nibuka uko musaza wanje yapfuye ariko hari umuntu waje arambwira ngo baramubonye ngo ahasha ngo harira ngo ashaka umuntu ngumufasha.
I don't really remember how my brother died. All I remember is somebody telling me that they saw him burning and he was crying for help.
Hanyuma tuja mu bitaro dushitse mu bitaro sinibuka ibitaro ko byari byitwa.
So we went to the hospital. I don't remember what was the name of the hospital.
Ariko nari mu bitaro n'abandi bakobwa bari muri undi mukobwa muri wese ngo ni Nyakazungu hamwe na mama wiwe.
But I was in the same hospital with a lady named Nyakazungu and her mom. She lives in the States.
Turi mu bitaro baratubwira ngo abantu ngo baje ngo ko barashaka abantu mu bitaro ngo basobabize ngo kugira ngo babice.
And then they said to us, you know, those people who killed you, they're coming and they're seeking for the people who are alive so that they can finish them up.
Hanyuma baraza abadoktere baraza baratumovinga batujana handi hantu ukuye muri zo bitaro twari turimwo.
So the doctors came and they removed us from that hospital because we were already in danger.
Igihe bino zabanje sinibuka sinigeze ndirangira ngo.
When all this happened, I don't remember myself even crying.
Ngira ngo nari nabaye so shocked kuburyo ntago byari ko registering yuko abantu bapfuye.
I was so shocked that I was so numb to a point that in my head, my subconscious was not registering that, you know, people died. This is a war. We're in a war zone.
Sinabitekereje gushika maze gukura nico gimubabaro wanjemwo mbona kumenya understanding yuko nta muvyeyi mfite napfushije no muri umuntu wanje kandi nige nari ndaho mu Burundi nta bari umuntu bakuru wanje na bari umuntu wanje nta wundi numwe wari uri Bujumbura.
So when I became older, that's when I came to understand the pain, and I came to understand that, oh, okay, what happened to me was a war, and I had nobody, and that's when I came to understand that I lost my mother and I lost my brother, and at that time I was no longer with my siblings either. So when I was older is when I came to understand what had happened to me, because for some time so long I was in deep shock that I couldn't even bring myself to remember what happened.
Nico mpamuje mbona ibyo mugatuma byagiye bi affectinga uko ndimo gukura cha muri stages zinshi cyane blaminga mama kabona ari igituma naciye muri biriya byo mugatumba barandesa ni impamvu ye nkazavuga ngo yaba yarandetse nkaja ruguru wa munsi ibi ntago byari kumbaho.
So deep down when I was growing up, I truly blamed my mother for the things that happened, because I said if I was to go back with my grandparents, this wouldn't have happened to me. And I would say to myself, you know, all these things that happened is because my mom brought me here.
Hanyuma bikiba buri munsi nageze ngira inzozi kaguma bibona kaguma mbona muri umuntu wanje harira akabura umuntu mutabara hanyuma gasha bikambabaza cyane.
When it was happening, after it happened, I would have nightmares about it, and I would see my brother crying for help and my mom being shot, and I was so helpless because it was in my dream and I couldn't stop it.
shika n'ubu nyene nza nguma nyibleminga nkavuga ngo yaba naramenye ahari ahubwo nkamusevinga nubwo je ntaba nararokotse ahubwo nkamusevinga kubera nza ntekereza aho yaba ari ubu nyene mu buzima bikambabaza kuvuga ngo kuntubo twari ubuzima bw'umwana ungana kuriya.
So I think to myself and I say, I wish I had saved my brother because, you know, he was only 3 years old. And I say, what a such tragedy that somebody will kill 3 years old. And sorry. And then I was saying to myself, you know, if I would have saved him, he would have been further in life because he was younger and he had so much things to look forward to versus, you know, me being alive.
Hanyuma bugiye tuza kwibuka abantu bakavuga ngo nituvuga ibyabaye ngo ni kugira ngo tubone justice hanyuma jewe nageze mbona nubwo uriya muntu agatoga asaba umufunga ntaco je byomarira zamona ntago mama yogaruka ntago nyosubirayo ngo ntangire cyaduhuri yanje neza kuvuga ngo uriya muntu aje muri prison je nageze mbona nta na kimwe zomarira ku buzima bwanje.
So when I was growing up and we would do Gatumba memorial to remember those who died. I would think to myself, like, even if they arrest the people who are responsible for this, what is it going to do? It's not going to bring my mother back. It's not going to bring my brother back. So to me, I just felt like it was pointless.
Hanyuma especially cyane bira bintu za ruguru bitangiye kuba kavuga ngo twebwe twabaye muri 2022 tumaze imyaka irenga 16 tu protesting gushaka justice abantu bakatubona hanyuma bira bintu za ruguru bigasubira kuba kamambura icizero cyose yuko tuzokwigera tubona ico dushaka.
So and then the war that continued back home and the killing of our people was happening, and I said it's been almost 16 years and we're asking for justice and we're unheard and nobody has come to help us, and I'm saying to myself, like, this is hopeless, and I lost all faith.
N'ubu nyene ntabwo ndizera yuko nibamufunga kizomfasha ariko hari abantu benshi basurvivinze babona yuko ira justice ibahaye ihabaye ibo zobaha amahoro. Niyo mpamvu jewe nta kibazo mfite cyo kuba supportinga ni mpamvu navuze uyu munsi nukubera abenshi ari zo mwe duherutse gukora hari abasoba benshi bavuze nabonye abantu ntarabona kuva myaka nk'16 and they just encourage me ngo sharing a testimony ngo irashaka gufasha uwundi muntu wabinyuzemwo. Niyo mpamvu mpambikora kubera sinzamo naho justice izova nje.
So the main reason why I'm speaking today is because, you know, I saw people when I was giving my testimony through Zoom, I saw people I haven't seen in 16 years and people I didn't know and people who went through the same thing as me, and they said, and they encouraged me and they said, you know, share your story, have the strength, have courage to share it because it might help somebody else. But to be honest, personally, I'm only doing this for those people because I feel like even if people are held responsible, what was lost cannot be gained.
Murakoze cyane. Nibyo nari nshaka gushare.
That's all.
Arakoze cyane mushiki wacu Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
Kandi pole cyane.
And sorry.
Ntabwo biba byoroshe.
It is not easy.
Ariko birakwiye.
But it is beneficial.
Je ndimo ndayibona yuko turimo turava mikinya, turimo turahembuka, turimo turagaruka ubumuntu.
I think this is the first process to healing.
Ariko nuruhari rwawe nanje.
But it is your duty and my duty.
Byibuze.
At least.
Mu gufata mu mugongo bashiki bacu nkaba Joy.
To help our sisters like Joy.
Nabandi bameze nkawe.
And others like her.
At least ugashowing up kaza kwifatanya nawe byibuze. Umunsi umwe mu mwaka.
At least once a year, show
Ariko
up.
kubutabiha agaciro.
But if you don't see the value of it,
Naburiya butabera nta gaciro.
even the justice, you probably won't see the meaning of it.
Ubutabera bwa mbere nuko twebwe ibi tubiha agaciro.
The first justice is so that we give this time and we value it.
mushiki wacu ararepresentinga abacikacumu benshi ba Gatumba.
Joy is representing a lot of people from Gatumba,
Ibi byabaye
survivors from Gatumba. This happened.
turimo turavuga ngo ntibikongere kubaho.
We're saying, may this never happen again.
Twabuze abantu 160 bapfuye muri uwo munsi na batandatu.
We lost 166 people that day.
Batarimo abakomeretse nka ba Joy bafite amasasu bagenda nizo nkovu umunsi ku munsi.
And some people who are not even as hurt as Joy and have bullet fragments in their body.
Hari igihe tugira imbaraga zo kuvuga bapfuye ariko tutavuga abagenda nizo nkovu ibyo bikomere.
There's many times where we have the strength to talk about those who died, but we don't talk about those who are living with those kind of pain and trauma.
Bwoko bwacu turavuze kandi ngo pole mwihangane.
Our people, we say we're sorry, be strong.
Tugiye gusaba abaza kutugezaho amazina y'abo bantu bose bapfuye biciwe aho hantu.
We're going to ask for somebody to give us the names of those people who passed away in Gatumba genocide.
Ikindi kintu ngira ngo mvuge hari igindi mizigira amajambo makeya.
Another thing I want to say, sometimes languages lack certain words.
So, aho barimo bavuga abantu bavuga uko bicwaga bakirwanaho bagasa nk'abavuga ngo intambara. Iyo umuntu avuze intambara ni nkaho namwe mware ko mu Rwanda.
When people are speaking about war, it's like you guys were also fighting.
Ariko ntabwo twagwanaga twaricwaga.
But we were not fighting, we were being killed.
Reka nsabe Pastor Michel na Pastor Jean baze baraza kuduha amazina y'abacu bose twabuze muri ico gihe.
Let me ask Pastor Michel and Pastor Jean to give us the names of those people.
Ndaza gusaba n'umuvandimwe Justin yigire hino.
And I'm going to ask Justin also to come forward.
Aba bantu hari icizere c'ubuzima, hari icizere yuko tutagomba guheranwa n'agahinda.
There is hope of life, there is hope that we will not stay like this.
Ndagira ngo mu gihe bazaba barimo basoma amazina,
while they are reading the names,
hano hari amabuji, amakandozi y'icizere.
There are candles for hope.
Yurundi rumuri rw'abantu barimo bashibuka barimo bava muri za anesthesia yuko tuzahagarara kugeza tubonye ubutabera natwe tukabwiha tububuze mu bandi. Turaba turimo dushiraho amabuje y'icizere y'urumuri tuyasa.
We are going to light up candles.
Nibazo abayisoma turagusaba utera intambwe duhereye kuri no ruhande.
So when they are reading the names, we're going to ask just people to come from this side and light up a candle.
Nibasoma abantu babiri haraza abantu babiri baze batambuke nayo mabuje yabo bari buyase hanyuma bayarambika hangaha turagenda tuyarambika kuri escalier ya gatatu.
According to how they're reading the names, so if they read the names of two people, we will go and put the candles just on the third stair and then horizontal.
Candle for hope.
Candle for hope.
Nibyo tugiye gukora baduha imyirondoro yabo bantu.
That's what we're going to do.
Murakoze abayobozi ba gahunda. Nkuko badusabye gusoma amazina y'abantu biciwe hariya mu Gatumba kuri iriya tariki. Nibaza ko nta gusobanura bikenerwa kandi nagerageje gukora mbere yuko dusoma amazina imiryango yahatikiriye. Iyo mvuga umuryango ni famille muri rusange apana umubare w'abantu. Hari imiryango 38 irimo abantu batandukanye turaza kubasoma. Hakaba n'abantu umwe mu muryango bagera kuri 28. Hakaba n'abandi bari inshuti z'abanyamurenge bandi moko nabo bazize kuko basanzwe bagiye gusura wenda bene abavandimwe baba inshuti zabo basabanaga ariko bo bandi moko. Cyane cyane nabonye ari ababembe nabo n'abantu 14. Totale cyangwa umubare rusange n'abantu 166. Turaza kubifatanyamo na mugenzi wanje Pastor Jean arahera kuri famille ya mbere ndaje gukomeza ku ya kabiri.
Turibuka famille ya Pasiteri Minyati. Pasiteri Faustin Minyati wari ufite imyaka 56. Kadafi Minyati wari ufite imyaka 20. Merewe neza Minyati wari ufite imyaka 18. Nyanome Minyati wari ufite imyaka 10 y'amavuko.
turibuka umuryango cyangwa dusaba abana bakiri batoya aho kugira ngo duhagurutse ababyeyi bakuru bigora guhaguruka. Young guys mwafasha aba
Reka babikore mu gaciro.
Okay, nta kibazo.
Katubayishiye agaciro nabo bazize uko basaga. Yani bane.
Yego, ndabona abantu bane bamaze gusoma basa n'abashizeho buji zibarepresenta. Turibuka umuryango wa Pasiteri Rutekereza ugizwe n'aba bantu bakurikira: Jacques Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 50 akaba yari umushumba. Mushambaro Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 18. Gira neza Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 16. Nyamasoso Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 12. Ndatabaye Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 9. Nyazahabu Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 6. Na Nyamuryango Rutekereza wari ufite imyaka 4. Ubwo ni abantu 7
rwose. Reka dukomeze. Turibuka umuryango wa Gasosi, Eraste Gasosi wari ufite imyaka 50 y'amavuko. Perusi Gasosi wari ufite imyaka 45 y'amavuko. Nyahumure Gasosi wari ufite imyaka 11 y'amavuko. Bahoza Gasosi wari ufite imyaka 9. Debora Gasosi wari ufite imyaka 4 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka. Batanu bafite umuryango wa Gasosi. Eraste Gasosi, Perusi Gasosi, Nyahumure Gasosi, Bahoza Gasosi, Debora Gasosi. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka family Nyamusore. Ndabona n'umuntu umwe.
Turibuka umuryango wa Karaha. Nyamusore Karaha wari ufite imyaka 35 y'amavuko. Debora Nyamusore wari ufite imyaka 32 y'amavuko. Tarutwa Nyamusore wari ufite imyaka 13 y'amavuko. Kayonga Nyamusore wari ufite imyaka 11 y'amavuko. Ngenzayo Nyamusore wari ufite imyaka 9 y'amavuko. Bebe Nyamusore wari ufite amezi 5 avutse.
Abantu 6.
Tuzahora tubibuka.
Kadukomeze. Turibuka umuryango wa Rukamirwa se cyangwa famille Rukamirwa. Oze Rukamirwa wari ufite imyaka 50 y'amavuko. Marisiana Rukamirwa wari ufite imyaka 47 y'amavuko. Bisetsa Rukamirwa wari ufite imyaka 20 y'amavuko.
N'umuryango w'abantu 3. Turibuka famille Haizuru. Fia Haizuru wari ufite imyaka 3 y'amavuko. Felix Haizuru wari ufite umwaka 1 w'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Gatoni. Mugotwa Gatoni w'imyaka 35. Nyabyiza Gatoni w'imyaka 8. Debora Gatoni wari ufite imyaka 4. Eme Gatoni wari ufite nawe imyaka 4. Sahora tubibuka. N'abantu 4.
Turibuka umuryango w'umushumba Pastori Muhimuzi. Turibuka Ariasi Muhimuzi. Turibuka Munone Muhimuzi wari ufite imyaka 12. Turibuka Merewe neza Muhimuzi wari ufite imyaka 8 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Shemu waguyemo abantu batatu. Marciana Shemu wari ufite imyaka 37, Esperance Shemu wari ufite imyaka 6, Yeremia cyangwa se Jeremy Shemu wari ufite imyaka 2.
Turibuka umuryango wa Shoni, Maziga wa Shoni wari umucuranzi mwari muzi. Nyakazi Shoni wari ufite imyaka 32 y'amavuko. Musa Shoni wari ufite imyaka 10 y'amavuko. Amani Shoni wari ufite imyaka 7 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka n'abantu bane, imiryango abantu bane.
Turibuka famille cyangwa se umuryango wa Kasa, Nyahoza Kasa, Ziraje Kasa, Jeannette Kasa, Yvonne Kasa na Bebe Kasa, n'abantu batanu.
Turibuka umuryango wa Bitati bagiye tukibakunda batatu. Turibuka Thomas Bitati wari ufite imyaka 49 y'amavuko. Turibuka Eric Bitati wari ufite imyaka 10 y'amavuko. Turibuka Dudu Bitati wari ufite imyaka 13 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango cyangwa se famille ya Zaroti, Nyahoza Zaroti wari ufite imyaka 26, Bebe Zaroti wari ufite amezi 9.
Tuzahora tubibuka. Turibuka umuryango Kanyabitabo, Odia Kanyabitabo wari ufite imyaka 48 y'amavuko. Neza Kanyabitabo wari ufite imyaka 13 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Musafiri Hoga, harimo Chantal Musafiri Hoga wari ufite imyaka 13, Nyamugisha Musafiri Hoga wari ufite imyaka 11 na Patience Musafiri Hoga wari ufite imyaka 4. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Gapingi, Nyabihogo Gapingi wari ufite imyaka 29 y'amavuko. Claude Gapingi wari ufite imyaka 4 y'amavuko. Giselle Gapingi wari ufite imyaka 2 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Musafiri, Lydia Musafiri wari ufite imyaka 16 y'amavuko. Blaise Musafiri w'imyaka 9 y'amavuko.
Tuzahora tubibuka. Turibuka umuryango wa Mandevu, Leya Mandevu wari ufite imyaka 53 y'amavuko. Muhorana Mandevu wari ufite imyaka 32 wazize ukwasa. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Butoto Semajambi wari ugizwe na Sheshe Butoto wari ufite imyaka 24, Fisto Butoto wari ufite imyaka 4 na Mupenzi Butoto wari ufite imyaka 2. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango w'Amahinga, Munezero Muhire wari ufite imyaka 18 y'amavuko wazize ukwasa. Nyabyinshi Muhire wari ufite imyaka 15 y'amavuko wazize ko ari umunyamurenge. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Mukwiye, Uzia Gashindi Mukwiye wari ufite imyaka 54, Dando Mukwiye wari ufite 16, Lucia Mukwiye wari ufite imyaka 9, Daniel Mukwiye wari ufite imyaka 3. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Tuzahora tubibuka. Turibuka umuryango wa Gaturuturu, Zera Gaturuturu wari ufite imyaka 42 y'amavuko. Tantine Gaturuturu wari ufite imyaka 12. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Mugabe Yohana wari ugizwe na Nyabahinga Mugabe wari ufite imyaka 38, Nyabirori Mugabe wari ufite imyaka 25 y'amavuko, Fie Mugabe wari ufite imyaka 11 na Bea Mugabe wari ufite imyaka 2. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Tuzahora tubibuka. Turibuka umuryango wa Rukungungu, Claude Nzabakiza Rukungungu niko banditse, yari afite imyaka 26 y'amavuko. Nyagazura Rukungu wari ufite imyaka 22 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Hari n'uwo yibagiwe uri kuri page yindi.
Muhuza Felix Rukungu wari ufite imyaka 13. Tuzahora tumwibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Sebahire, Murekatete Sebahire wari ufite imyaka 30, Patrick Sebahire wari ufite imyaka 5, Kadada Sebahire wari ufite nawe imyaka 3. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Muyengeza, Nyarukundo Muyengeza wari ufite imyaka 32 y'amavuko, Rusengo Muyengeza wari ufite imyaka 8 y'amavuko, Musore Muyengeza wari ufite imyaka 6 y'amavuko. Bazize uko basa, tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Maniragaba wari ugizwe na Kirindwi, Ange Maniragaba wari ufite imyaka 3. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Ntwari, Perusi Ntwari wari ufite imyaka 33 y'amavuko, Jeanne Ntwari wari ufite imyaka 5 y'amavuko. Bazize uko basaga, tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Gishoma, Askofu Gishoma wari ufite imyaka 16, Nkunda Gishoma wari ufite imyaka 8. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Biguge, Rumanzi Fabien Biguge wari ufite imyaka 46, Inosa Biguge wari ufite imyaka 6 y'amavuko, Didier Biguge wari ufite imyaka 4 y'amavuko. Bazize uko basaga, tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Runezerwa wari ugizwe n'aba bantu bakurikira: Mukaruru Rwiza Runezerwa wari ufite imyaka 35 y'amavuko, Boss Runezerwa wari ufite imyaka 10, Bijou Runezerwa wari ufite imyaka 3. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Muvange Simoni Munezero Muvange wari ufite imyaka 44 y'amavuko, Edouard Muvange wari ufite umwaka 1. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Maronko Kagigi wari ugizwe na Zera Maronko w'imyaka 80, Nyambo Maronko wari ufite imyaka 25, Jeanne Maronko wari ufite imyaka 4, Shaste Kagigi Maronko wari ufite imyaka 3. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Serugarukira Antoine wazize ukwasa, Nabitanga Serugarukira wari ufite imyaka 26, Nyantebuka Serugarukira wari ufite imyaka 22 y'amavuko. Bazize uko basaga, tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Runagana Manase Runagana w'imyaka 37, Gatarina Runagana w'imyaka 35, Mukobwa Runagana w'imyaka 2. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Gasungunu Tonia Gasungunu wari ufite imyaka 35 y'amavuko, Daudi Gasungunu wari ufite imyaka 3 y'amavuko. Bazize uko basaga, tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Ngakazi wari ugizwe na Inyasi Ngakazi Bwana w'imyaka 38, Emmanuel Ngakazi w'imyaka 8, Daniel Ngakazi w'imyaka 6. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Karara Nakiza Karara Nezia wari ufite imyaka 43 y'amavuko, Ngwabi Karara wari ufite imyaka 18 y'amavuko. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turibuka umuryango wa Ngirabakunzi Ruganirwa aribo Nyagakobwa Ngirabakunzi wari ufite imyaka 22, Bebe Ngirabakunzi wari ufite amezi 2 gusa. Tuzahora tubibuka.
Turakwibuka Mukobwa Munyakuri wari ufite imyaka 6.
Turakwibuka nawe Murora Rugeza wari ufite imyaka 20,
Odia Ndagiro wari ufite imyaka 38 y'amavuko,
Bunana Gasore wari ufite imyaka 28,
Mado Gakanyi wari ufite imyaka 25 y'amavuko,
Nyamubyeyi Gafita wari ufite imyaka 55,
Nyamunezero Zuzi wari ufite imyaka 11. Turakwibuka.
Kajeyi Ruganza wari ufite imyaka 16,
Ndayishimiye Muzuri wari ufite imyaka 25. Turakwibuka.
Nyamajana Rushaga wari ufite imyaka 47,
Nyangore Rugabo wazize uko wasaga wari ufite imyaka 12. Turakwibuka.
Mombo Kazingo wari ufite imyaka 26, nawe turamwibuka.
Nyamatungo Seruhungu wari ufite imyaka 41. Turakwibuka.
Sifa Maria wari ufite imyaka 15, nawe turamwibuka.
Andre Ndakamirwa wari ufite imyaka 78, wari revera pastori. Turakwibuka.
Ngombe Rushemuka wari ufite imyaka 54, nawe turamwibuka.
Kazingo wagiye tukikunda Bizimana wari ufite imyaka 25. Turakwibuka.
Michel Nzungu wari ufite imyaka 9 gusa nawe turamwibuka.
Gikwerere Rusekeza wari ufite imyaka 20 ntituzakwibagirwa turakwibuka.
Nyantonesha wari ufite imyaka 22 nawe turamwibuka.
Nyakirindo Ruhumuriza wari ufite imyaka 24 tuzahora tukwibuka.
Afande Binyonyo wari ufite imyaka 5 gusa nawe turamwibuka.
Zikama Nkwerere Musore wari ufite imyaka 26 tuzahora tukwibuka.
Chisekedi Rwigema Semuhoza wari ufite imyaka 13 nawe turamwibuka.
Ndasarara Mugiraneza wari ufite imyaka 17 wazize ukusa tuzakwibuka.
Nitanga Semugazanya wari ufite imyaka 27 nawe turamwibuka.
Espare Rwibagiza ntituzakwibagirwa wari ufite imyaka 12 wazize ukusa tuzakwibuka.
Niyo nkuru Sekabumba wari ufite imyaka 6 nawe turamwibuka. Hari list ikurikiraho nkuko twababwiye.
Okay, twari tugize tubanze turangize imurenge dukomeze n'inshuti ariko reka tugende uko list imeze.
Ya narimvuze nti abo nibo banyamurenge 148 baguye muri yabwicanyi bazira uko basa mu Gatumba, ariko hariho liste nkuko nababwiye yabara abaturanyi bacu bababembe ariko bari begeranye cyane n'abanyamurenge basabanaga cyo gihe nabo biciwe hamwe nabo.
Abuela Bulinda wari ufite imyaka 44 tuzakwibuka inshuti y'abanyamurenge.
Delphine Biamonea wari ufite imyaka 4 nawe turamwibuka.
Legine Batubula wari ufite imyaka 18 wari inshuti y'abanyamurenge tuzakwibuka.
Leon Aochi wari ufite imyaka 2 nawe turamwibuka.
Sandi Nyapanga wari ufite imyaka 4 tuzahora tukwibuka nawe.
Bahati Nyapanga yari afite imyaka 16 nawe turamwibuka.
Asukulu Boke Oi wari ufite imyaka 24 tuzahora tukwibuka.
Echa Mbichi wari ufite imyaka 26 nawe turamwibuka.
Lukele wa Lukele wari ufite imyaka 32 tuzahora tukwibuka.
Angalisho Mambo wari ufite imyaka 36 nawe turamwibuka.
Evariste Sumali wari ufite imyaka 22 wari inshuti y'abanyamurenge tuzahora tukwibuka.
Jeannette Kiza yari afite imyaka 31 nawe turamwibuka.
Isumbelo Wisombelo wari ufite imyaka 34 tuzahora tukwibuka nawe.
Na Mirenge Ndalo yari afite imyaka 20 nawe turamwibuka. Murakoze cyane kandi dukomeze twihangane twese.
Reka dusabe n'ubundi tukiri muri uyu mwanya muhaguruke tubaye icyubahiro munota umwe twese duhagaze.
Hari abandi bafite ayandi mabuji y'abantu biciwe Bukavu n'abiciwe ahandi hatandukanye, reka tubasabe nabo muyashireho aha twashize ayandi hanyuma dufate umunota wo kubibuka.
Ayo namabuye yici bimeze bitya urimana la urimana. Reka dufate umunota umwe twibuke hanyuma turaza gufata undi dusengera imitima n'ubwoko kuko birababaje bavandimwe. Reka mbabwire haracari ibyiringiro n'ubu igiti cyatemwa kizongera kibeho. Nubwo abanyamurenge dukomeje kwicwa dufite icyizere ko tuzongera kubaho. Reka dufate umunota umwe. Mana nubwo bimeze bitya uri Imana. Nubwo imitima yacu ibabaye tugufite nk'ibyiringiro byacu. Nubwo isi isa nitatubona abakadukamiye bakatutera umugongo tukagwa mu maboko ya UN twari twarahungiyemo, tugakomeza kurengana n'uyu munsi dutwikirwa iwacu tugasenyerwa iwacu. Abana bafite intimba, bafite inkovu, bafite amasasu. Ntabwo twasabye kuvuka turi Abanyamurenge, ntabwo twasabye kuvukira muri Kongo, twabyisanzeho kubw'umugambi wawe. Niyo mpamvu turi hano Mana twibuka abacu bazize uko bavutse. Niyo mpamvu imitima yacu nubwo ibabaye turagufite nk'Imana nk'ibyiringiro byacu. Humurize aba bana bacitse ku icumu, humurize abapfakazi babaye ibimuga batabitekereje bakazira uko basaga. Uhumurize Mana yacu ubwoko bwacu, uhumurize inshuti zacu. Ntabwo tuzahwema, niko umugaragu wawe yavuze ngo yemwe abingingira Uwiteka ntimugahweme kugeza Yerusalemu izahinduka amashimo. Natwe ntituzahwema kugeza Imurenge uzaha agaciro Mana. Ntabwo tuzahwema utaraduha ubutabera, aba babyeyi bagashingurwa mu cyubahiro, aba babyeyi bagahabwa ubutabera, aba bana bakabona impozamarira. Mana yacu, ubu ni ubwoko bwawe dukomeje kubitaka. Abanyapolitike bavuga, aho amaradiyo avuga, tukuvuze nk'Imana, tuguhamagaye nk'Imana iri mu ijuru, kugira ngo ubutabera bujagaragara. Leta y'u Burundi igira icyo ikora mu gihe gisa n'iki. Rwasa abashe kuryozwa ibyo yakoze, pasiteri abashe kwemenya icyo yakoze, hanyuma abana bacu babashe kumenya nibura ko uri Imana igisubiza. Ugira icyo ukora mu gihe gisa n'iki. Igikuru turindira ubugingo kuko aribwo buzakubona. Ndabizi ko dufite ibyiringiro. Yobu yaravuze ngo igiti gitemwe cyongera kubaho. Mugari wa Yohana aravuga ngo hahirwa abafafira mu mwami. Mwuka aravuga ngo ye baruka imyate yabo. Ndabizi ko ababyeyi barutse imyate yabo. Natwe Mana uduha ibyo byiringiro, hari igitondo kimwe tuzabana nabo, hari igitondo kimwe tuzimana nabo, hari igitondo kimwe uzaduhoza amarira. Aba bana barize, ubwoko bwarize, bari ababyeyi batemwa amabere ku misozi. Mana yacu uzaduhoza amarira, twimane nawe ubuziraherezo. Cyubahiro komeze kibi cyawe. Batubwiraga amacakubiri ari hirya no hino. Ntakikunanira Mana, ntakikunanira Mana. Ku mpamvu z'inyungu za buri muntu, ucecekesha imyuka y'amacakubiri Mana. Dukeneye ubumwe bwacu, dukeneye umurage waturaze, dukeneye urukundo. Ijambo ryawe rirambwira ngo uru rukundo reka buri muntu wese n'inshuti z'Abanyamurenge babashe kuzirikana. Duhagarikiye imyuka y'amacakubiri, imyuka yaba naba. Dukeneye Mana ko ari cyo ukora mu gihe gisa n'iki. Umwaka utaha tuzazamura amashimwe yawe tuvuga kuri Imana igira neza. Urakoze kubana natwe mu izina ryawe Yesu, amen.
Murakoze cyane, mwakwicara. Abashumba bacu namwe murakoze.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Dukomeje kubaha mpore.
Continue to ask you to take heart.
Kuko mwabyumvise amateka yacu ni maremare kandi agomba gukomezwa kuvugwa n'abatoya bacu bakayamenya.
As you have heard, our history is very long and it has to be spoken about so that our young children can know about it.
Ariko ni maremare mu buryo atavugwa mu gihe gitoya nk'iki tuba dufite.
But it's too long of a history to a point that we cannot talk about it in a few hours that we have.
Ariko ashoboka mu buryo bwo kuyahinahina araza kuvugwa.
However, we can summarize it. Someone is going to talk about it.
Reka twakire Pastor Nelson atugezeho amateka y'ubu bwicanyi bwose Abanyamurenge bakorerwa kuva kera, navuga kuva kuri independence kugeza uyu munsi turimo kuri none.
Pastor Nelson is going to talk to us about the injustice that the Banyamulenge people have been facing ever since the independence of Congo in the 60s until today.
kandi nkomeze mbasabe kwihangana no gukomera.
And I would like you to continue taking heart. And
avugisha ndi hagati y'imyaka 50 na 60.
I who's speaking, I'm about 50 or 56.
Sindakwiza 60.
56? 60. Oh, sorry.
So urashaka mvuga icyongereza?
Kuravuga good.
So I'm saying that I'm between 50 and 60. So kandi urumva rero abantu bagiye bapfa icyo gihe data yishwe na Murere.
My father died because of Murere.
Bazaga bakanyaga inka nkuko ubu bahaye babikora.
The bad people would come and take away the cows just the way they're doing it now.
So akurikiye inka ziwe baramurasa baramwica.
So when he went following his cows, they killed him.
So intambara za 64.
The war of 94. 64.
Utambuke uje ku bantu b'Ikirumba.
Also the people of Kirumba.
Ikirumba sinibuka umwaka wariwe hari umuntu wanibutse umwaka.
I'm not sure what year is the Kirumba, if somebody can remind me.
66.
66, the year of 66.
So uve aho ngaho muri ayo mateka yabo bantu bapfuye.
After that there are other people who died.
Ntabwo byahagarariye aho ngaho.
It did not stop there.
So turihuta vuba tuje kuri bene wacu bari batuyibyura.
We're gonna speed up a little bit. We're gonna speak about the people who lived in Bura.
Tekereza nawe ubu turi muri Canada kukwirukana muri province imwe uhungira mu yindi.
Imagine we're living here in Edmonton and then fleeing from Edmonton to a different province.
So icyo nicyo cyababayeho bari muri Congo, muri Shaba babirukanayo bahungira muri Kivu.
Those people were in Congo, specifically in Shaba, and then they were chased and they flew to Kivu.
So nidukomeza aho turaja kuri 96.
We will also continue in 96.
Muri 96 hapfuye abantu benshi.
In 96, a lot of people died.
Ndetse imihana imwe ifatwa amateka.
Also some villages were taken captive.
Abagore n'abana barabatwara.
Women and young kids were taken.
Ibyo nabikoreyeho investigation ndagenda muri Tanzania mbasha gukuramwo abantu bamwe ndabazana ndabahurutsa.
And those people were taken.
Yeah.
Okay. And those people were taken to Tanzania. I did do a follow up on that and I was able to bring some people back.
So ikibazo wikoza kuri communauté internationale.
The problem is when you ask about the international community, they say that is not their concern.
So ntibibareba ni mwebwe mwenyine mwaye mwicana. So human rights ivugwa iyo ifavoriza interest zabo.
So the human rights people are saying basically it is not a concern because it is ethnicity among each other instead of like a nation to a nation.
So tuje ku ntambara y'ejo bundi y'Ibukavu mu 2004.
Let's speak about the 2004 in Bukavu.
So ubundi iyo abasirikare mu bindi bihugu cyangwa se ahandi hari amategeko iyo icyaha ni gatozi n'umuntu.
In other countries icyaha
ni gatozi. So it's personal. Let's say if I commit a crime, none of my family members should be persecuted because of that.
Yeah, icyaha ni ku giti cy'umuntu.
So ariko iwacu siko bigenda.
But in our country it's not the same.
Iyo umuntu yakoraga ikosa runaka abasirikare batumvikanye bafataga ubwoko bwose bukaja muri icyo kibazo.
So when somebody would commit a sudden crime and let's say the soldiers did not agree, they would bring other soldiers and make it a big deal.
Tuje twihute cyane tuje kuri uyu munsi.
Is it me?
So
No, I can't stand there.
So
Can you move?
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, move back. Uri, too close. Yeah, that's better.
Ni sawa ubu ngubu?
Yeah, this is better.
Okay, tuje kuri uyu munsi wa Gatumba.
Let's talk about the Gatumba massacre,
Aho twamaze kwegeranya ubuhamya bw'abantu bavuga ibyabaye.
where people spoke about what happened that day.
Ni gitangaza ni ishano kuvuga ngo uri muri protection ya UN.
It is such a shame that you're in the protection of the UN.
So abantu baze bakwice nibamara kukwica imyaka 18 ishire ta justice iraba.
And people comes and kills you, but 18 years passes and there's no justice.
So ariko ni byiza ko tutagomba gucika intege.
But it is important that we do not get discouraged.
Niba badashoboye kuturenganura abo bana bamwe babaye victim ubu nyine baravuga icyongereza cyiza.
Even though we're not able to get the justice that we want right now, those children who are victimized, they are adults and they are able to speak English very well.
Igihe bibaye ibi byo mu Gatumba nari muri Ottawa.
When these things happened in Gatumba, I was in Ottawa.
So bimaze kuba njewe negere inzego za leta ndazisobanurira.
When that happened, I went to the government and I spoke to them.
So bansezeranya ko bagiye kubikurikirana nibasanga rukuri icyo nabasabaga ibintu bitatu icyambere gukondana iri kiriya gikorwa cyabaye.
When I spoke to the government, they said they would do a follow-up, and the first thing they said is that when they do the follow-up and see if this is true, they would condemn. They would seek justice for those people, basically.
So icyakabiri kwari kuvuza inkomeri.
Secondly, it was to help people who are hospitalized.
Icyagatatu kwari kubasha kuzana abantu barokotse.
The third thing was to bring the survivors.
So barambwira ngo barabi affecta muri ministeri bishinzwe ibikurikirana.
And they said that they will speak to the the ministry that is
So
in charge so that they can follow up with that.
Nyuma y'iminsi mikeya twabonye declaration yabo ikondana bira bikorwa byabaye.
So after a few days, we saw a declaration condemning those kind of actions.
So Canada ntacyo nayirenganyaho yarakoze uruhare rwayo.
Canada, I cannot really put any faults on them. They did as they could.
Ariko hari ibindi yakabashe gukora.
But there is other things that they could have done.
Nibaza ko noneho natwe ubwo turimo abantu bahibereye barokotse hari uburyo dushobora gukomanga hirya no hino tukagaragaza kureba ko hakorwa ibirenze byakozwe.
So and because we are part of the people who have been hurt, I believe there's something that we could do so that we might get some results.
So na contacte urukiko internationale rwa Lahe.
I contacted the International Court of
Lahe.
Mbabwira
hejuru ya genocide yabaye mu Gatumba. Ubundi iriya ni genocide iyo umuntu umwishe cyangwa se ugahohotera umuntu kubera ukwasa iriya ni genocide.
So and I talked to them about what happened in Gatumba. Usually a genocide is when somebody is killed because of how they look or how they are created.
Ubwo navugaga n'abari abantu batwawe amateka bo muri Tanzania.
And I was also speaking about the people who are captured in Tanzania as well.
La Cour internationale iranandikira irambwira bampereza numero de dossier.
La Cour internationale called me and gave me a contact number.
So urumva icyo gihe umuntu yakitingaga ari umuntu umwe mwebwe mwese benshi mwari mutaraza.
So at that time I was acting as one person. Many of you were not here yet.
So ubu nyine tumaze kuba community ifatika.
Now that we are a big community.
Izo document nazifata nkazibahereza mugafata umuloya akabikurikirana.
I can take those documents and give them to you guys and then get a lawyer to follow up.
ni byiza ko mu hiring umuloya wa community.
It is good to have a lawyer in the community.
muzaba mufite naho muhera ayo madokima yose ndayafite.
You will even have a head start because I have those documents.
So munchamake rero ndabahumurije.
In short form, I encourage you. I say take hope.
Baravuga ngo ntarwamaze abatabazi.
They give a proverb that says nothing has ever finished the rescuers.
Kandi ngo haracyariho ibyiringiro ko igiti iyo gitemwe cyongera gushibuka.
And there is hope that when a tree is cut down, there is hope that it will grow again.
Biriya biba ziriya ntambara turimo kuva 2017 kugeza none iriya nayo ni genocide.
All these wars that we were facing from 2006 to now, that is a genocide.
Icyo tugomba kwiga natwe ni ukurwana mu buryo bugezweho apana uburyo bwo kurira tukihoza twenyine.
So what we have to know is to learn how to fight in a modern way than just crying and wiping our tears.
Nkaba ntanga motion ko ubutaha umwaka uza nituja gucommemoratinga genocide kandi.
So I would give a suggestion that next year when we do this commemoration of this genocide,
tuzabipange neza inzego zose zibe impliqué.
So that we can organize it well, so that there is different level of government or people who were able to reach.
Ni byiza ko turira tugahozanya.
It is good to cry and to wipe our tears.
Ariko it's not enough.
Ntabwo ariko bihagije.
So ikintu niba ushakisha justice ugomba kwitiza ayandi maboko.
If you need justice, you must borrow other hands.
Nkaba mbasaba ngo mukomere mushikame kandi Imana ibane natwe.
Be strong and courageous, and may God be with us.
Rakoze cyane Pastor Nelson.
Thank you, Pastor Nelson.
Mu by'ukuri nk'uko twabivuze ntabwo ari ibintu bishobora kuvugwa mu mwanya mutoya.
Truly, it is not something that can be spoken in such a short time.
Ni ibintu bisaba kuko tubivugira hano ukabivugira mu rugo ukabibwira abana bawe bato.
It is important that we speak of it, we tell our kids about it, and they tell their kids.
Ari ubutabera dushaka ntabwo bwitanga burashakishwa bukagerwaho.
Justice is not something that is given unto you, it is something you command.
Muvandimwe Kayonga yavuze neza aravuga ngo umwanzi hari igihe afite amayeri yo kutujijisha.
Kayonga said something well. He said sometimes the enemy might want to confuse us.
Akaba yadutera n'amacakubiri aho kugira ngo duhangane nawe tukahangana twenyine kuri twenyine.
And instead of us fighting with the enemy, we fight with each other.
Tugomba kubirwanya.
We must not have division.
Tudafasha umwanya muremure.
Without taking too long.
Turimo turegereza ku musozo wa gahunda yacu.
We're about to finish.
Reka twakire umuyobozi wungirije wa community.
Let us welcome the community leader.
Tugezeho ijambo ryo gusoza.
So that he can give us a word of parting.
Abantu bakomeje kubikurikira ku social media hariho campaign yo gushaka ubutabera kandi ubutabera bushakwa n'amafaranga hakenewe amafaranga.
Those who continue to follow us on social media, justice is important, but also justice, we need money to be able to do certain things.
Wenda araza kubitubwira.
He will tell us about it.
Nta kindi twarenzaho.
There is nothing that we can say.
Byinshi byavuzwe kuri uyu munsi.
Many things have been said today.
Icyo nakongeraho no kubashimira ko mwese mwabashije kuboneka.
What I can say is I thank you all for coming today.
Ndashimira urubyiruko cyane rwabonetse uyu munsi, natangaye ntago narinzi ko dufite urubyiruko rungana gutya. Imana ibahereza umugisha mwese.
For all the youth that are here, I am so grateful for you guys. I didn't know we have such a big crowd of youth.
Ikindi ndashimira ababyeyi babonetse uyu munsi mukabasha kwitanga mukaza tukabana uyu munsi. Ni ikintu tuzirikana kandi tuzi neza ko hamwe na guidance yanyu cyangwa se no kuyoborwa namwe tuzi neza ko ari ubutabera dukeneye ndetse no kwiyubaka tuzabigeraho.
And for the parents who are here tonight, thank you for coming. Thank you for your support. I believe that we will achieve many things.
Ikindi wenda nakongeraho kimwe gitoya.
Another thing that I may add,
turi gusaba ubutabera.
We're asking for justice.
Ariko nkuko benshi bagiye babivuga imyaka ibaye myinshi, imyaka ibaye 18.
Just like many people have said, it's been 18 years.
Nkuko Joy yavuze ati ngewe uyu munsi nubwo agatorwa asa n'abandi babigizemo uruhare nubwo uyu munsi bafungwa nyuma y'imyaka 18 ari ubuzima bw'ubwiwe imyaka afite ari abacu batwawe yumva bidahagije kuba byamuhereza ubwo butabera.
Just like Joy said, it's been 18 years, and to be honest, what has been lost in 18 years cannot be summed up by just people being held accountable, but it's a start.
Jimmy nawe arongera avuga ati ubutabera igihe kibaye kirekire kandi hari turarira ariko ntibabuduhereza abo turirira. Ni byiza ko tudefinisa ubutabera dukeneye ni ubuhe ubutabera bwacu kuri twebwe ni ubuhe.
It is Jimmy said that it is important for us to define what is the kind of justice that we want. Like, what is it?
Kuri ibyo ngibyo bavuze ndashaka kugira kubabwira mwese impamvu duhamagara ntibatwumve.
I just want to say that the reason why we call and the reason why we speak and we're not heard
nuko kenshi mbere uko wintervena mu gikorwa runaka yisi akenshi ureba icyo uri buvanemo ngiye aba bantu kubahereza utabera kwiteranya n'uyu muntu ngiye niki inyungu yanjye ahangaha ni yihe.
So for justice, many people before they come for help or before they help people who are in need, they say, what is my benefit through all this? What am I going to gain by helping them?
Mu by'ukuri rimwe na rimwe usanga bakira bakakibura ariko ndabasaba twebwe turi hano kugira ngo tubashe kongera turaba agaciro ariko twongere kandi agaciro mu buzima bwacu.
What I can say is let us make this of value, something of value.
Twongera agaciro mu buzima bwacu ari urubyiruko ruri hano tujye mu ishuri. Zimwe mu nzira pastor amaze kuvuga zigezweho zo gusaba ubutabera tujye mu ishuri.
One way to find true justice is to have an education.
Tujye mu ishuri twongera agaciro mu buzima bwacu.
To have an education, to be educated.
Nibwo tuzamenya uko turwana bitewe n'isi y'uyu munsi.
That's how we know how to fight according to the world of today.
Kandi nta myaka itiga nta myaka itongera ubumenyi biterwa n'icyo ukeneye kongeraho. Umuntu wese icyo ukunda niko bakunda kuvuga kandi ndabyongeraho nanye naje gusanga icyo ukunda kijyemo ukimenye neza icyo ngicyo kizaba icy'agaciro kuri wa muntu ukeneyeho ubufasha azakibonamo nk'agaciro ahere ko aba yagufasha kubera ko azi ko nawe igihe runaka cya kinduzi uzakimuberaho icy'agaciro uzakimuhereza nawe azagikenera.
What I can say is knowledge is power, and behind education there is a strong will to seek what you're looking for, because when you are educated and when you know what you're speaking about, there is a strength, a certain force that comes with that.
Hitube community ikora just kubera ko turi abantu hari igihe tubabo baduhereza utuzi bakaduhereza kubera ko turi abantu dushaka gufollowing instruction ahubwo tube community. Ndatanga urugero ruto Abanyayisiraheli zimwe mu mpamvu bishwe n'ibindi nuko bari bakeya kugira ngo isi be yanabitaho ariko hari ubumenyi runaka berekanye hari agaciro bongere mu buzima bwabo nubwo bari batoya bikira intérêt z'abandi bari ku ruhande baravuga ati aba bantu ubumenyi bafite nubwo ari bakeya nyamara tubafashije natwe bazadufasha igihe runaka ubwo bumenyi nibwo nkeneye ko twongeramo mu byo dukora byose.
Just a quick example, the Israelites had a certain knowledge that certain knowledge was able to get them far. So what I can say is let us be educated, let us seek education because it would get us far.
Ikindi baravuga ngo utazi yava ntamenye yajya.
And there's a proverb they say that he who doesn't know where they come from they cannot know where they're going.
Dukomeze twiga amateka.
Let us continue to learn. Naraya, stop.
Ariko kandi twibaze ngo ese icyatumye mu Gatumba tuhagera.
And the reason why we got in Gatumba,
icyatumye hari ahandi tugenda twicwa
the reason why we were killed,
ni ikihe?
what is it?
Ese uyu munsi cyavuyeho?
Has that thing been taken away?
Twishwe kubera tuzize uko dusa.
We were killed because of how we looked.
Nyamara dushobora kudahindura uko dusa.
We might not change how we look.
Ariko
We cannot change how we look.
ntago dushobora guhindura uko dusa.
We cannot change how we look.
Ariko dushobora guhindura uko turwana.
But we can change our strategy in how we fight.
Ntago ari buri kimwe cyose twasaba abandi.
It is not everything, every single little thing that we need to ask for help.
Nta nubwo ari ngombwa ko rimwe na rimwe turira.
And sometimes it's not necessary that we cry.
Rimwe na rimwe bisaba ko turwana.
Many times it is mandatory that we fight.
Turwana.
We fight.
Iwacu uyu munsi hari intambara.
Today where we come from, there's war happening.
Agaciro dufite umunsi nubwo dushaka guhagarara hano tukanabivuga nuko tugifite aho twita iwacu.
The reason why we can stand here and say something, it is because we have a home.
None kugira ngo ntituta ku gaciro.
So that we don't lose that value.
Nawe genda urwane.
Fight.
Ushobora kutarwana physically.
You might not fight physically.
Ariko ubufasha bwawe bugatera morara bariyo.
But your will or your zeal to help might encourage others.
Phone call yo kukubwira ngo nubwo turi kure turi kumwe.
A phone call to just say even though we're far, we're together.
Ishobora guhindura imitekerereze y'umuntu.
It can change a person's thoughts.
Ntitwibagirwe kare narebye video umutima wanjye urashavura.
Let us not forget, I watched a video earlier and my heart was hardened.
Ntitwibagirwe turagendera mu miduga turarya ibiryo byoroshye muri microwave McDonald's turahaca ariko ntitwibagirwe abo turibo.
Let us not forget just because we have a good life now and we're able to achieve the things we need to achieve, let us not forget where we come from.
None ari abaririmbyi bahimba mu dukumbuzi wacu.
Whether it is people, artists who sing, make us remember our home.